Big crowd on hand in Kansas. A lot of families. Love to see kids at the racetrack. Oh, with their moms, of course.
Nothing better.
All right, the field has begun to roll off behind the pace car. Clint, how about we get a word with our pole sitter, dare we?
Let's do it. How about you, Kyle Busch, or Kyle Larson? Oh, this is going to be a good one already. Kyle Larson, boy and the boys up in the booth here at Kansas Speedway. Boy, the Heartland Park, it's been good to you this week. We started it. I feel like I'm going to start over. We're live on television. Lakeside down the way. High limits race, sprint car race for you. You stole the pole right there at the end of qualifying. Poor Busher, you've been hard on this kid at this racetrack. Can you make it 2 in a row for the spring race here at Kansas Speedway? I finally got it out.
Well, Jamie McMurray, yeah, I feel really good about our chances today. I love this track. Sun's out, shining. Surface should be slick. Hopefully we can do a good job keeping it up front all day and have a shot at the end.
All right, buddy. Good luck out there. That's what I get for interviewing friends on the air.
Remember last year, the closest finish in the history of NASCAR. Kyle Larson stealing it right there from Chris Buescher by the closest margin ever. Yesterday, Kyle Larson was the last driver to run for qualifying, and he steals the pole from Chris Buescher. But that's our front row: Chevy, Ford, Larson, and Buescher. Here's Regan Smith.
Like the images of what 1/1000th of a second looks like, and door banging all the way to the start finish line from 1 year ago will last a lifetime. But unfortunately for Chris Buescher and the 17 team behind me, those images represent wounds that are still very fresh. So much so that when I talked to them earlier today, they said we are not over that yet. The best way to get over it is going to be a win today. Their best qualifying position of the year in second. They feel very good about the car. If they can keep him in the top 5 all day long, they think they can maybe start to erase those wounds.
Thanks, Regan. Here's the rest of the starting lineup for the AdventHealth 400. Christopher Bell's Toyota inside of row number 2, along with Tyler Reddick. 2 Toyotas in row 2. Here's Josh Sims.
Well, Mike, 2311 has been extremely strong here at Kansas. This 45 car has won 3 of the last 6 races at this track. And I caught up with the team earlier today. Tyler Reddick, the most recent winner out of that camp here at Kansas. And they said, yes, we got that win in the fall of 23, but last year didn't get the results we wanted. So we went back as a team. We consulted with our drivers, both Tyler and Bubba, came back with some more intel on how we can be better here. Well, they came back yesterday. Tyler felt really good about the car, good on the short run, good on the long run. Look for that 45 to be a major factor later on here today.
Row 3, we've got last week's winner, Joey Logano, and Joe Gibbs Racing's Ty Gibbs. Row 4, we've got William Byron, who was runner-up here last fall, and with 2 top 10 finishes in the last couple races, Daniel Suarez.
Some heavy hitters in row 5. Number 9, Chase Elliott. On his outside, Ryan Blaney. Row 6. Been fast on Saturdays. Can he get it done today? Michael McDowell, and on his outside, Justin Hayden.
Row number 7, the Talladega winner, Austin Cindric in a Ford, and 4-time Kansas winner, Toyota-mounted Denny Hamlin. Jamie Little.
And Mike, the last time we saw Denny Hamlin, he went up in smoke last week at Texas after losing that engine. It was the worst finish of the year. Now he comes here to Kansas. This is the site of his first ever Cup career start. That was 20 years ago. He was actually auditioning for the seat that he still holds today. As far as that car, that race car, well, they told me it definitely will be in contention. They feel like they have a great long-run car. Keep your eye on that 11, Mike. He's going for win number 5 here at Kansas.
All right, thanks, Jamie. That's your top 14. The rest of the starting lineup will be on the pylon. And a number of drivers had issues in practice or in qualifying, and there are these 7 cars that will give up their qualifying spot and go to the rear on pace laps.
Well, we've got some really good cars on that list. Ty Gibbs was at the top of the chart, qualified 6th. Josh Berry, he's been one of the best Fords all year, so a lot of good cars.
A lot of figuring this air pressure out, Kevin. We're going to get that in a minute.
Today, Busch Light's giving you a chance to win $1,000. Follow @BuschBeer on X and enter using hashtag #BuschAllForOne, hashtag sweepstakes during every lap that ends in a 1 to enter. Now let's check with our crew chief, Larry McReynolds.
You know, Mike, Kansas Speedway is an interesting mile-and-a-half track. It has progressive banking, 17 degrees at the bottom, up to 20 degrees against the wall. Kevin talked about it. This gives a driver a lot of options to move around to find speed. Now, today you're going to hear a lot of terms like aero tight, aero blocking, dirty air, clean air. Let's go to our Toyota Camry cutaway cars, show you exactly what's going on when you hear about aero blocking. These are two drivers running side by side. Good clean air, full front downforce on both cars, roughly 600 pounds. But look what happens when a car gets behind another car. How much downforce it loses in dirty air, roughly 30%, which is about 180 pounds. Totally changes the way the car drives. The front tires lose grip. He keeps moving around trying to get that clean air. The driver in front keeps aero blocking. Think about like mirror driving. The trail car keeps moving left and right, just trying to get a little bit of clean air on that nose, maybe the left front. But guys, we'll see drivers moving around all race long to find speed and grip, but mainly trying to find clean air to help the aerodynamics of that race car.
And you see in that illustration the front of that car raise up, and that's exactly what it feels like, doesn't it, Kevin? It feels like the front tires aren't even on the ground.
It feels like the front tires are not there. The preferred groove today will be that top lane, and so you'll see guys try to run in that top lane, but you've got options here at Kansas.
So for the second week in a row, we have a perfect day for a Mother's Day and a race day. 81 degrees, light breeze, full sun, and that track temp is already up to 127 degrees. So today we'll run 400 miles. That's 267 laps on a mile and a half. And like the last couple of weeks, the stage lengths are 80, 85, and 102 laps. There's the Toyota GR Supra that leads the field here in Kansas. Everybody all formed up, ready to go.
Here you say stage points, Mike, so important. Now I'm on board with you, Kevin. It's we're end of our portion of the season, right? And I think these stage points, when you look at that bubble picture and the playoff scenario, very, very important to capitalize on those on these racetracks like this.
And I think it's keeping a lot of guys in the game, so we'll see how that shakes out today. But usually that starts with starting up front.
That's where Joey Logano is. He starts fifth. Here's his radio.
Guys, let's keep the momentum going. A good start spot. We'll do what we can to maintain this track position, get some stage points, position ourselves for the end here. Good luck in there.
Well, we heard Joey talk in the pre-race, and I'm not sure what to think about his car today. He wasn't 100% confident in that. So
he wasn't confident in it last week either, and got the job done.
Yeah, but I felt like he thought it was better last week than he spoke today. But the thing he's got going for him this week, starting in the front.
We have 6 on boards this week. Chase Briscoe carrying the Toyota Cam in his number 19. Todd Gilliland, one of those cars that had to drop to the rear. Todd in the 34. That is the Ford Performance Cam. Here's the AdventHealth Cam for Eric Jones. We're going to take a couple laps with him today. And the Xfinity Mobile Cam in Tyler Reddick's Toyota.
Finding this clean air. You're going to see these cars pan out, spread out, and it's going to happen right here as we get off into turn 1. Here we go.
Well, the thing I noticed immediately right there as we went to those in cars is they sped the pace up. You could hear those cars starting to speed the pace up, but immediately we're 4 wide, Mike.
4 wide, middle of the field on back as everybody scrambles, and every restart today is going to look just like this. Fan out across the track and get everything you can get right away.
I think they were up against each other right there. It may
looked like Austin Dillon there got stuck in the middle of the pack like that. And there's nothing worse as a driver. You get stuck in the middle. You can't go high, can't go low. Something has stalled your momentum, but he definitely lost a lot of spots right there.
Well, it's like this track is a giant funnel. You enter 4 wide in turn 1. By the time you get to start finish, you're 1 or 2 wide. Then it goes back to 3 and 4 when you get into the middle of the corner.
Bell to second place around Buscher.
Yesterday in practice, we had a lot of trouble with those left rear tires. We even saw a right rear tire blow out. The lower we get that air pressure, the faster these cars run. But when you do that damage, especially if you're one of those front cars, it's the pace, the high pace that does the damage. So this is when they got to take care of those tires and manage everything that they can so they can run that pressure low, because it will matter as this run goes on.
Big moves from the middle of the pack and on back. Bubba Wallace up 5 spots. Bowman in the 48, who had to start in the rear, he's up 6 positions already.
Well, we expect Alex Bowman to be strong today, and right now you see William Byron going by the 22 car of Joey Logano. Another really strong car in practice. Those Hendrick cars all looked really good, Clint.
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to look any further. I mean, it's such a William Byron type of a racetrack.
Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin working in tandem there just a bit.
Yeah, and you see those guys on the bottom of the racetrack right now. As this day goes and these cars start to get spread out, that top groove will be the preferred groove. And with that white line on the bottom of the racetrack, if you're going to run the bottom, you want to do just like Carson Hocevar is doing right there. You want to cover that line as you see Denny Hamlin move down below Justin Haley right there.
And let me correct, Bowman did not start in the rear. He started 19th. He is up into the top 10. He was not one of those 7 cars.
I was watching Heim and this big opportunity for him. He did not get a good start to this race. Slipped back. I think he's back 8 positions right now. Welcome to the big leagues, bud.
Yeah, and Corey Heim's done a great job. This is his first race with 2311 as the 4th car. And when you look at these starts in the Cup Series, yeah, the Truck Series is chaotic, Xfinity Series is chaotic, but it's hard to get used to a start like this until you actually just go out there and do it. And he's definitely getting trial by fire today.
And there is Alex Bowman, who's moved his way up to 9th, a gain of 10 spots from where he started 19th.
Well, Alex Bowman was really good on the long run charts yesterday. We felt like his car was one of the best cars. His time showed that on every chart that we had up. So we expect Alex Bowman to keep moving towards the front of this track.
Trouble out of turn 4. One car just went up in smoke and drops down to the bottom. I think that's Allmendinger.
Hey, East, are you?
Yeah, big blow up right there. But so I didn't see blue smoke at that. It was almost like it was water.
It did. It looked more white than blue.
For sure, it was white.
As if it was coolant.
Well, it's been a miserable weekend for that 16 car. They've definitely had some trouble getting their car going up to the speed that we've been accustomed to the last few weeks.
Well, this will become another meme this week of we've elected a pope, white smoke, and he's from the Midwest.
Big time.
Pope Leo the 14th. under the first caution of the day. You can play the Fox Super 6 NASCAR Challenge. Download the Fox Sports app right now and enter for free shot to win cash prizes. See the Fox Sports app for details. So under this caution at lap 7, Alex Bowman, the first to pit from 9th, and several others joined him. Larry, let's talk strategy.
Yeah, this is still outside the fuel window right here. Remember, it's about 65 laps. They pitted at lap 8. I'll never rule out that you can't make it, though. But some other strategy, 4 tires is the way to go. But don't be afraid to roll the dice, changing just 2 tires, especially late in the stage or in the race. Split the stages in half, possibly coming a few laps earlier to take advantage of those 4 fresh tires. And this is the theme of 2025. Don't beat yourself with mistakes on pit road. 11 pit road speeding penalties at Texas, 37 combined here in the 6 races with the Gen 7 car. That's the most of all mile-and-a-half tracks.
But it's also right in line with the theme of 25. I like what you said right there. Get yourself differentiated with the rest of the pack. Do something different, and you never know, it might play right in your hand.
And on this restart, you will feel like you have a huge advantage because of those fresh tires being on the car. Used tires and a restart here are really tough, especially when the pack is so congested like it is here at Kansas.
Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, William Byron will lead them back to green after this first caution of the day.
Really good start for the outside of Bell. See if he can keep his track position on him on the exit of 2. That's what's going to be important. I think he's going to drive right by him, Kevin.
Look at that Blaney car right in the middle, shoots the gap, gains a couple spots, and that's a very typical move here at Kansas. Everybody will go to block the bottom and the top, and that middle lane opens right up. You see it again. That middle.
Oh, he's wanting to move up. He's going to.
Larson brings him off the corner with the lead, but a lot of jockeying and jostling for position. Cars trying to side draft and take the air off each other.
Yeah, and you see Christopher Bell fade to that high line. Buescher down to the bottom as Kyle Larson runs the middle, and that's what you want to do. You want to go where they're not, just like we showed in the beginning. That front downforce on that car directly behind somebody is definitely not the way to go.
Big knot of cars here with one car, Corey Heim, in the middle backing up. And Denny Hamlin trying to shoot the middle and gain spots as they go back to 1.
Well, this is that
hornet's nest.
Well, it's because you got tires coming. You have guys on old tires. Kevin, you talked about how hard it is to get older tires going at this racetrack, especially when you have people with fresh tires right behind you.
Yeah, and you see Kyle Busch leading that charge right there, and Ty Gibbs on the outside of him as they split the 33 car of Jesse Love, and Ricky Stenhouse is next on that list for those guys with tires.
Denny's in trouble.
So easy to get your momentum broke here when you get behind one of those guys.
Now coming off 2 last time, I believe, is where Chase Elliott got up and into the wall. Squeeze play.
Turn 4, but he did. You're right.
Well, he was close off turn 2. He just didn't catch it. He did there off turn 4.
Yeah, and a lot of times, you know, turn 4, the wall comes back at you. So it's a really easy corner to misjudge, especially when you get just a sniff of air off the front of that car. When you're behind somebody, it'll take off on you quicker than you expect.
Jamie?
Denny Hamlin was one of those cars that pitted. He came in from 12th. They took 4 tires, slipped all the way back on that restart about 28th. He's back to 31st, actually making some moves. Actually, he just moved back to 32nd. But Mike, he's just yelling how tight he is. Not happy with this race car at all.
Yeah, and sometimes on a restart, that can give you a really bad misread. When the cars are 3 wide and you have all the traffic and that dirty air, you can get yourself into a position where it just feels absolutely horrible.
Well, note the inside line on the track is a single white line, and that's for reference for the drivers. But as they come off turn 4 and through the front straightaway, that is not an out-of-bounds line. You can go anywhere you want as long as it's paved. And we've seen Austin Cindric and others driving way low at the start-finish line, way off the normal racing surface, trying to gain position and gain some ground.
I would advise against that. With all the tire trouble that we had yesterday, dipping down onto that apron and the way that it spikes the tires, I would be very, very careful about going on the apron unless you have to.
Well, here comes Cindric right behind Joey Logano. This will be for 8th place. Chase Elliott just ahead.
Oh,
wow.
Reddick got in the wall. Almost a trifecta right there. Reddick into Hocevar into Berry. You talked about Berry. Started dead last in the trunk to the field. And look at here. Here we go. Top 10 right now.
Yeah, you got a couple cars all right there in one. With Reddick, you can see the paint, the lettering off the right side tires definitely got into the fence.
So Berry started last, restarted 20th, and has worked his way up to the top 10.
Well, we know that 21 car of Josh Berry has been lightning fast pretty much everywhere that they have been. Sure, they haven't got the finishes and things that they feel like they should out of the speed of that car. But last week, he was leading the race at Texas when he spun out, and he had plenty of speed.
Now right with him, Ryan Preece. Preece is up to 13th. Of the drivers who stopped and took 4 tires on the first caution, he is the best of them right now. He restarted 27th and is up to 11th.
We saw Ryan Preece qualify bad last week and qualify bad again this week, but that car has been very similar to the Chris Buescher car. From RFK, they've both had plenty of speed to race in the front of the pack, and Ryan Preece is making his way towards the front quickly.
Larry?
Yeah, Mike, I'm monitoring throttle and brake on the top 3, Larson, Bell, and Buescher. Throttle, they're all about the same. They really have to play with the throttle a lot on the exit of the corner. But Chris Buescher in that 17 is using a lot more brake, actually at both ends of the racetrack, than Larson and Bell.
I think you have to be careful using brake at a track like this, Kevin. It only builds temperature in those front tires, which will make it tighter yet. Sometimes you have to use the brakes because the thing's already tight. Sometimes you use the brakes to keep it underneath of you if it's loose as well.
It is one characteristic of this next gen car, though, to be able to get those front tires to turn. We see as Ryan Preece goes around Josh Berry on the top side right there, but it is one characteristic just to kind of tap that brake to just help set those front tires.
Have to be careful. Too much obviously slows you up using the brakes, but that temperature in the tires builds air pressure. They don't like that air pressure.
3 Chevys, 2 Toyotas, and 5 Fords in the top 10. Kyle Larson leading Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher on Mother's Day in Kansas. 27 laps complete in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. Kyle Larson leading Christopher Bell. William Byron and Ryan Blaney as you watch our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Since 1925, the Goodyear blimp has been inspiring fans to keep looking up and keep driving forward. Since the restart, Kyle Busch plus 21 spots. He's up to 15th. Ty Gibbs up 18. Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, and Alex Bowman among the big movers. Josh?
Yeah, and for the 60 of Ryan Preece, I talked to him earlier today. He said, I wasn't worried about qualifying 30th because I knew from practice we had a very strong car, a car that can handle well, and a car with speed. And he said, I used to not like mile and a half, but since coming to RFK, I've been really excited coming to these racetracks. I know we have something to compete with, and we're seeing that early as he's one of the biggest movers so far today, Regan.
Josh, Christopher Bell running in second place right now behind Kyle Larson. Current update on the cars, it's a little bit too tight in turns 3 and 4. He told Adam Stevens it is very similar to how it was yesterday, but something to keep an eye out for today, guys. I had a number of crew chiefs tell me they wanted to be tight on the front side of runs so that it would balance out about right in the middle of runs and not be too loose at the end. And there was a lot of concern about how do you set up for a short run at the end of the race versus potentially a long run. So right now, pretty good for Christopher Bell.
Regan, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've been watching these lap times, and he is that one they matched, but he was 2/10 faster. He's running the leader down Larson. This car is coming on strong on a long run. Kevin, we have documented this time and time again with the 5 car in particular. On these long runs, he has a tendency to burn the right rear off of it.
Yeah, we like to joke it's Kyle Larson against his right rear tire, and how does he manage that throughout the day? And Christopher Bell and those Joe Gibbs racing cars are typically pretty good on the long runs. That's always what makes Denny Hamlin so good at this particular racetrack. So as we see this run go on, how does Larson's car fall off compared to Christopher Bell's? And right now it looks like Bell is starting to make up some ground.
So we're 31 laps in. The first 8 drivers did not come to pit road on that first caution of the day. Larry, when might we expect them?
Well, Mike, go back to the Larry Meck strategy. Splitting his stage in half is 40 laps a run. We did run 4 caution laps, but based on talking to a lot of people yesterday in the garage area, I think in about the next 5 to 6, 7 laps, they'll be coming a little earlier than that lap 40 mark, trying to get advantage of those 4 fresh tires.
Well, we see the advantage. You look over the biggest movers. Who were they? As those guys that pitted. Busch up 21 spots, ladies and gentlemen. Gibbs 20. Zane Smith behind them 20 spots. Preece 17. These guys are moving to the front.
Yeah, it looked like Gibbs. I don't know if he got tight or something right there off of turn 4, but definitely checked him up a little bit. But he's been making his way towards the front there with Kyle Busch right in tow.
Well, as I've been watching, trying to pay attention to those cars that stayed out, Ross Chastain, he is looking very tight off of 4. These guys are needing a pit stop, needing 4 fresh Goodyears.
Yeah,
sure.
and we heard Larry talk about Tyler Reddick complaining about the seams. You see Austin Cindric kind of splitting that top seam right there on board with Reddick. He's on the bottom of the racetrack, so you want to be in between those 2 seams. I always found that in turns 3 and 4, you could enter below the seam and then cross that whole seam, but I never liked to actually split the seam for very long. This looks more like where we expect Tyler Reddick right here, up against the fence.
But he's found that fence once off of 4 pretty early in the race.
And pit stops are the order of the day for some of those drivers who did not come in.
Here they come
at the first caution flag.
In fact, Chastain, Eric Jones, and McDowell.
Scheduled pit stops under green.
Well, just like Larry was saying, he expected some of these guys to start coming a little bit earlier than what we had originally talked about, and here they all come down pit road. Bubba Wallace on pit road.
Josh Perry, Austin Dillon.
And it looks like everybody's set up to take 4 tires and fuel. Except for the Wood brothers. This looks like a 2-tire stop for Josh Berry. Nope, they do come around. They're going to do all 4.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the thing on these green flag pit stops. You're going to want to take 4 tires because you're expecting it to finish out the second half of this run.
Ryan Preece is away. He's done. John Hunter Nemechek coming in. Chris Buescher. is in. Austin Cindric.
I think Busch or Logano, those guys that were closer to the front, those guys are going to pull these leaders in soon.
Yeah, once you see a car like Chris Buescher running that far towards the front, I think Kyle Larson, you know, he had a big enough lead and a little bit of a wait and see game and not lose any positions on the racetrack. That'll give him a little bit of an advantage over these guys that are already on pit road.
Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Carson Hocevar, all to pit road. There's Tyler Reddick.
Larry, you could probably afford to let a couple laps go by here, but not too many, right?
Yeah, what I did see in this race a year ago, like Tyler Reddick in the 45, and I know he's already made his stop, they elected to split it right in half. It looked a little bleak in the beginning, but the net gain was good at the end of the second run there.
Now you got your third place car, William Byron, on pit road. I bet you see this 5 car looking to the inside.
Noah Gregson's made his stop. And so just the top 3 cars, Larson, Bell, and Blaney, still out on the racetrack along with Corey Heim. Let's go to pit road.
And the 24, William Byron, really happy yesterday in practice. They hardly touched it. Rudy Fugel, his crew chief, told me so far in this race, just a little bit free in 3 and 4. You saw them just come in. They took 4 tires, but all seems to be good right now.
Not so good for Bubba Wallace. Equipment interference will cause him to have to do a trip down pit road at pit road speed as a penalty as Ryan Blaney comes in.
Costly error into these green flag stops.
Oh, there's a look at it.
There come your leaders, Mike. Larson and Bell. No advantage to going further than 40 laps.
No.
There is an advantage to that second place, Christopher Bell being that close to Larson. You can use him as a gauge coming on a pit road. Gained a lot of speed on him on the entrance of pit road.
Stenhouse in as well. Regan.
Bit of a game of cat and mouse there. The 20 car, as soon as they knew the 5 car was going to pit, they immediately decided to pit and come this time as well. As for the 20 car, about 2 laps ago, finally said it was starting to free up a little bit for Christopher Bell. And the 5 of Kyle Larson actually needs help with turn off of turn 4. One of the few cars I heard that was tight at that point.
All right, Cole Custer in as well. Now he was in at lap 8 along with the cars that stopped at the first caution.
Getting off this pit road, Clint, we know that you can gain or lose a whole bunch of speed on the acceleration piece of the exit of pit road right here.
That's why you couldn't wait too long. Byron just passed Bell. That was a 3rd place car right on the heels of the leader, Larson.
Well,
what was the leader?
Well, you see that gap from Kyle Larson to Christopher Bell also was a little bit wider than it was when he pitted. So definitely put William Byron in between him and the 20.
Jesse Love making his 3rd start in the Cup Series. Drove through too many pit boxes on entry, so he'll have to do a pass down the pit road at reduced speed. Now here's Bowman, who was also in at lap 8, coming back in.
Yeah, and I think these guys, you know, some of those guys that were in the back wasted a set of tires to try to get themselves track position. As now we hear Ricky Stenhouse over the wall too soon. So these pit road penalties keep piling up. We talked about how many speeding penalties there were here at Kansas, but it's definitely going to be one of those days where we see a lot of trouble on pit road.
Bubba's going to give Larson fits here, trying to hold on to this lap. Does not want to go another lap down. That may give Byron an opportunity. He's going to try to do everything he can do to stay in that mirror and not let him to his outside. You see him moving up in front of him. He's going to get that car wide. That's going to slow Kyle Larson down.
Kyle Busch comes to pit road here at lap 43. The first stage is 80 laps duration, and Denny Hamlin cycles through to the lead. The top 6 cars have not been on pit road since lap 8. 48 laps complete in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. We're racing to the end of stage 1 at lap 80. And a couple of drivers have rolled the dice. Kyle Larson has cycled back to the lead, but in second spot are just now William Byron, going by Ty Dillon. And Ty Dillon and Riley Herbst are on the economy run, Larry. They last pitted at lap 8. Can they make it?
So they pitted with 72 to go. We went back racing with 70 to go. I'm looking at their pace right now, low 33s, mid 33s. That pace, they should be able to make it. If they can't make it, I have no idea what they're doing right now, unless they're just trying to bank on a caution coming.
Well, Bott didn't make it off of turn 2 right there, but even if they do make it, we're going to lose a lot of spots here. I don't know that it's going to be a net gain anyway.
Well,
way off the pace.
It's that hope is a bad strategy, and I think that's
Yes.
the way it's probably going to work out this time.
Gotten me through many years in life. Go for it.
Well, one of them got run over as other drivers were trying to make their way to the front. So they are 2 seconds off pace right now. Ty Dillon is, but he's in 4th place with 30 laps to go in the stage. Going to be doubtful for him to hold on to a points paying position, points to the top 10. But he may end up in a better shape than what he would have, and he'll have an extra set of tires there in the pit. So let's talk points, as we'll give stage points and a playoff point to the stage winner. And as we race to the playoffs after race number 26, these drivers have wins, and it's win and you're in. We average 13 regular season winners.
Yeah.
Now, most points above the bubble by non-winners. These fellows are in a pretty safe position for now, but it's not over. Look at that cut line below Ricky Stenhouse. Kyle Busch only 12 away, but with 20 points, minus 20 on back, only one driver has ever come out of that group and made the playoffs.
Well, you see a big hit like Clint just highlighted right there. A.J. Allmendinger took a big hit. Michael McDowell last week took a big hit at the end of those races. So
and then
points matter.
Flip side of that, Ricky Stenhouse moved into the playoff picture with a great finish last week in Texas. He is struggling today. This is going to be a battle right down to the end, the bubble picture of the playoffs. So important with a lot of good teams involved.
Every point matters. Now, stage points by drivers who have not been to victory lane. Bubba Wallace leads that list. Ryan Blaney, they have capitalized. So have Reddick and Bowman. It's been important for Chase Elliott as well.
Yeah, but Bubba Wallace, I mean, those guys have qualified well, put themselves up in the front, and had a penalty today. He's now 2 laps down. So it's been a tough start to this race for the 23 car with all the circumstances that he's having to deal with.
So, Josh?
One update on 22 of Joey Logano. During that first run, that car was just way too loose for him and reported a vibration towards the end of the run. When they came into pit, he got 4 new tires. They told him the tires look good, but the balance is still not great with that still loose. Joey fighting a very loose car right now, Regan.
How about the run for the 6 car? Brett Keselowski so far today started 36th all the way up to 15th right now. And the good news for crew chief Jeremy Bullins is Brad is very pleased inside of the car with how it's driving, what it's doing on the racetrack. And keep in mind, this is a team that had trouble yesterday with a tire going down, but they had a lot of confidence when that went down. Brad himself did, and the team told me earlier today they felt like they could pass their way towards the front and not have to rely on strategy. So far, that's working.
Well, he is at the top of the list of drivers who need a great day and past champions who need to vault into the top 25 in points.
I think he's entered the must-win stage, Kevin.
I agree. I think that the 6 car Brad, a lot of talent behind the wheel, a lot of leadership, but I think that with the way that this has all gone and as far behind as they are from that 16th position, I mean, they're going to have some pretty miraculous stage points, and if they don't win.
So of the drivers who have made 2 pit stops, only one is up in the top 10, and that's Alex Bowman in 7th place, 11 seconds off the lead. 2 Chevys up front, and they're Hendrick cars, Larson and Byron. Then Bell's Toyota in 3rd, and the first Ford is Blaney in 5th. Kyle Larson leading by 3 seconds with 18 to go in stage 1. In 2 weeks, he'll be in the Indianapolis 500 on Fox. So here's a little trivia. Helio Castroneves is looking to become the first 5-time winner of the 500. Besides Helio, 3 other legends have won the Indy 500 4 times. Can you name them?
No.
I know Rick Mears is one of them.
Well, he's from your hometown, of course.
That's right.
Yes.
I know this guy right here, our NASCAR gentleman, Kyle Larson. That Kyle is going to try his hand, and
Well,
I think he can do it. He got so close. I was so excited last year watching him do that.
Can I pay this off,
Who
please?
was it?
Al Unser and A.J. Foyt, who was the first to win 4.
What a cool looking picture. Look at that right there, huh?
Indy 500 on Fox in 2 weeks. Here at Kansas, William Byron is edging into Kyle Larson's lead. Since we came back from break, he's cut it by half a second. Christopher Bell in 3rd. Elliott 4th. Blaney, the first Ford, in 5th. And the 2 drivers that were trying to stretch it without an extra stop, Riley Herbst has now gone a lap down, while Ty Dillon remains on the lead lap, but back in 24th. There's Tyler Reddick, 3rd of the Toyotas now that Denny Hamlin has gone by him. Reddick in 16th right now.
Byron just hit the ball. I think he might have a right rear flat, Kevin.
Well, that's what we talked about.
2, 1.
Around it goes with right side damage.
There you go.
Still green.
Yep.
No debris, no caution.
Well, that's what we talked about. The teams are really going to push these rear air pressures because the lower you can get those tires, the more grip that car is going to make from being lower to the ground and just mechanical grip in general. So now that they're on a green flag run, that's going to be much tougher on those air pressures than all the caution laps and things that we had at the beginning of the race.
I think it was definitely down, not because of the fact that he got in the wall.
Well, he did a nice job of getting that car under control and to pit road.
You see how slow he's going all of a sudden? I think he's feeling it out. There it went.
Yeah.
So we stay green. Here's Byron's radio just before he got into the wall.
Yeah, the long run is just swinging the back a little too much for me. I think I'm going to be back tight on a restart, so I think they're kind of separate issues. This adjustment, I think, just didn't really help too much.
So he ran 27 laps prior to that happening after the pit stop.
Yeah, so what happens when you let that pressure down? That's why we're talking about you got to be really careful with the car and how fast you go at the beginning, because when the car goes faster, it travels more, it hits those stops more, that puts more load in those tires, and I think they probably just got a little too aggressive right there, Clint.
We have found the line.
Well, we found it a lot yesterday.
More left sides than right yesterday.
We did. Both pretty effective.
Saw both though.
Yeah, both you want the air as low as possible.
Tyler Reddick has dropped back a spot, and ouch.
Oh, that one's going to cost us money.
Yes, that was our camera.
Loose.
Ooh, really loose.
Kyle Busch moving up. He's in 14th.
Yeah, that 8 car has been pretty steady all day today.
Larry Mack?
Yeah, let's go back to that right rear tire on William Byron, the 24 car. Mike, you mentioned it. He had run 27 to 28 laps. I just want to help our viewer understand, if low air pressure is the culprit, how did it go that long? What happens? It gets damaged in the first lap or two when it's really low on that air pressure, but it won't rear its head to own into a run as we just saw.
And here's Byron's radio as that was happening.
So, buddy, did we hit the wall first, or did we have a flat first?
No, we had a flat tire, right rear tire.
Copy. Just confirming for the pit box. All good.
Well, that's important for them to know because they want to know if they need to put more air back in the tire. They got to make an adjustment to those air pressures to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
So Byron is now 1 lap down.
He did a great job of keeping that car back straight. Got it. You saw him spin right there, but he got it gathered up and saved himself a lap. He's only 1 lap down. That's very important.
And he knew that he had a problem about halfway down the back straightaway. He slowed that car down and actually kept himself up next to the wall so that it didn't spin out. He actually spun out on pit road when he came in, but he saved himself from spinning out on the racetrack.
We have fixed this 11 car. Denny Hamlin is moving to the front and doing it in a hurry, picking him up and putting him down.
And as he passes Josh Berry, that'll put him into position for stage points.
Yeah,
Top 10.
It's definitely been quite the metamorphosis, you know, for this 11 car from where he was 20 laps ago. I mean, he was in the back, Clint, having a tough time trying to even make his way to the front. And all of a sudden, it was like somebody just said, go.
And look, this last time by, Denny Hamlin was the fastest car on the racetrack at 31.86.
And we saw that a little bit yesterday in practice, maybe not to the extent that we've seen it during this run, but he didn't take off. He was actually like a half a second slower than his teammate Ty Gibbs on takeoff speed, but that long run speed was lights out.
Yeah, what Denny Hamlin and Chris Gale did, they did exactly what I had explained that I saw a couple of teams do last year. They ran really long. They paid the price in the beginning, but now they're paying the dividends as we're coming to the end of this stage.
5 to go in stage 1. Jamie?
Well, when William Byron's tire went down, it happened so fast he came right down pit road. His team had to scramble. Ryan Patton is the tire carrier. You didn't even have a chance to put your gloves on, Ryan. You carried those hot tires, blisters all over your hands. How are you?
Yeah, it's not an ideal situation, obviously, but there's a lot of communication going on. In a crisis scenario like that, especially coming off turn 4, the car's on you quick. So thankfully, we're in stall 18, which just passed the start-finish line, so we have a little bit of time to react. But a heads-up call by Rudy to put the qualifying set on from yesterday. So we're exchanging the sticker tires to the scuffs. You got to make sure you got the right front correctly and the right rear correctly. So we put the tires on the car. Everything's good. So just a crisis situation, but hopefully we can catch a lucky dog and we get back into this thing.
Show us those hands. Got some blisters on there. Been sticking them inside the ice, guys.
Wow. That's dedication right there, Jamie. All right, 3 to go in the stage. Top 12 right now, 7 Fords, 3 Chevrolets, 2 Toyotas. Bell and Hamlin, Joey Logano in position to get the final stage point.
Well, Kyle Larson's been lights out. We expected him to be really fast. We just didn't know if the tail end of that run he would fall off. So far today, it's been nothing but perfect from that 5.
Chase Elliott coming up to challenge Christopher Bell for second. Uses up all the track and all the apron and drops back in line.
One thing we haven't talked about is Kyle Larson has lapped all the way to 20th place on this racetrack so far. That's not something that we typically see. That just tells you how dominant that 5 car has been.
Well, he's mired in traffic right here, but because he's so dominant, I mean, you know, it's what, almost 4 seconds in the lead. He's just riding behind him.
Well, big trouble right in front of him because all 3 of those drivers want to stay on or not lose another lap or stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, where are you going to go? They're 3 wide in front of him.
Yeah, Dillon, Hocevar, Chastain, right at the tail end of the lead lap. Nobody wants to have to take the free pass.
But yeah, you saw Dillon that stayed out, and he might make it on fuel, but it cost him. He's all the way back to 34th place, a lap down.
Yeah, and he's actually running 35-second laps, and the leaders are in the 33-second bracket, so it's been ugly.
So Kyle Larson does not force the issue against those 3 drivers who all happen to be in Chevrolets trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. And Larson gets his 7th stage win of the season. That's more than twice as many as any other driver.
Keep an eye on Blaney and Cindric in those Penske cars.
Kyle Larson, to no one's surprise, starts on pole and wins stage 1. Saturday, it's baseball night in America as Matt Olson and the Braves take on Alex Bregman and the Red Sox, or you'll see the Twins battle the Brewers. Check local listings for the game in your area Saturday, 7 Eastern on Fox. Stage 1 complete, waiting for pit road to open. Jamie?
Well, Mike, 1 month ago, Kyle Larson got a new pit crew except for the gas man, and so far, this team has executed. Let's meet Team 5.
Jafar Hall, front tire changer. Fun fact about me is I like crazy socks.
Mike Moss, rear tire changer. I enjoy watching anime.
Alan Stallings, tire carrier, Greensboro College football All-American.
Eric Ludwig, jackman, all conference at Elon University, playing football nose guard.
I'm Brandon Harder, gas man. I've been fortunate enough to be at Hendrick for this to be my 18th year.
Studs, aren't they?
Cliff Daniels, the crew chief. Tyler Munn, the starter, up on the roof. And, you know, each pit crew, each pit member has his own special way of doing things. Watch the jackman here.
I love all these different styles, Mike, and it's all about what makes you the fastest around that car. And you're going to see some guys that grab it naturally like that jackman did. Now you got the little different, trying to get a head start there. Behind the back, we've covered this one.
I think this all started with Denny Hamlin's crew. We put that on TV and everybody said, you know, is there a better way of doing what we do? Let's find out. That jack weighs 21 pounds.
Well, it's very reminiscent of Junior Johnson back in the day. I think that's a Junior Johnson line. They all learned that from him. His was about 80 pounds, though.
Here are the top 5 pit crew rankings this season of the rankings of the current top 5 drivers. Kyle Larson, the highest of that list, along with his Hendrick teammate Chase Elliott.
All right, well, here we go. Let's not make any mistakes.
Pit road is open. Josh.
We'll start with the 9 of Chase Elliott, finished second in stage number 1. His report was that car was getting a little too tight towards the end. No adjustments, just 4 tires and fuel. Jamie?
Ryan Blaney in the 12 as he makes his way on down from the top 5. Needs the balance to be just a little bit better. You're going to see these adjustments on every stop for every one of these drivers out here as the conditions are changing out here, Regan.
Christopher Bell in the 20 car started the race off a little on the tight side. They've actually transitioned to loose when the car is loaded up through the corners. In the 5 car, Kyle Larson, after the green flag stop, was too loose, but he liked that for traffic.
Larson wins your race off pit road from Elliott, Blaney, Bell, and Bowman. Well, ever since NASCAR on Fox came on the air in 2001, one of our cameramen up on the roof was Tony Marshall, T-Bone we call him. And he was the best at finding action on the track or in the infield or wherever it happened to be. Well, a few years ago, he transitioned off the roof and into the RoboCam trailer for the cameras that are mounted on the wall. There's Tony at work. Where we couldn't put a cameraman physically at the camera. He runs those from in the trailer. Yeah. Well, he's retiring. This is his last race. He's now Tony Robo. And he had a wish. He says he's been at the track all these years, but he'd never been on the track. So cameraman Brad Hutton put this deal together for Bubba Wallace to give Tony Robo a thrill ride. And thanks to Darwin Patterson, Toyota, and Jusan Hamilton. Tony, we're going to miss you.
Here in Kansas, pole sitter Kyle Larson, winner of Stage 1. Only once this year has the winner of Stage 1 gone on to win the race, and that was Kyle Larson. That was back at Bristol. Jamie McMurray, Chris Myers in race here atop the RCR hauler with Richard Childress, the 6-time champion car owner. Your drivers, Austin Dillon has 3 straight top 10s coming in. Kyle Busch just below the playoff cut line. I know you're watching them closely. Jamie, also watching you closely up here.
Yeah, Richard, we see most of the owners up in a suite or maybe on the pit box during the race, but you're always here on top of the 3 hauler. What is it about this perspective you like?
I can sit up here and watch the whole track, watch all 3 drivers today with Jesse in the car, and I can just tell them what I see when I see it.
What are your observations overall? You just said, boy, Larson's fast, stating the obvious.
He's in his own zip code right now, and I think Kyle will be able to race him. I don't know about him, but he's headed that way. Hopefully, Austin, he helped the 5 off to stay on the lead lap, so hopefully we'll get it fixed.
All right, and the only Kansas win for RCR was by a guy named, at least in the Cup Series, Harvick. Let's go back to Mike Joy, Clint Boyer, and the guy named Harvick.
Yeah,
thanks, Chris. Well, let's check with Josh.
All right, guys, well, we talked about Ty Dillon pitting last on lap 8 and then ran to the end of that stage where you could see the effect on that right rear tire over there. This is not what you want to see, but that is an impact of how important tires are. And when you try and run long, that can be what happens, guys.
Well, it certainly explains why his lap times were 3 seconds off what the leaders were running. 1 penalty on this round of pit stops. Carson Hocevar, equipment interference. So he'll start at the back of the 22 cars on the lead lap, including the free pass car, which is Todd Gilliland. Jamie?
Well, Denny Hamlin has worked his way and cycled up to 8th, but listening to his radio, he's got a clutch issue. In fact, he just radioed and said, I have 0 clutch pedal. So, of course, that could impact his ability to save fuel and, of course, executing those pit stops.
Wow. Chris Buescher had a 12.7 second stop and fell from 10th to 17th, where he'll be on the restart.
Well, it doesn't take much on pit road to lose those positions, but as we get going here on this restart, we know that these guys have been wild and crazy. There's plenty of room to race all over this track, and they're getting ready to use it again, Clint.
Big pushes out of the outside. Bell helping Elliott. Blaney on the bumper of the 5 car.
4 wide for 10th.
Yeah, and the problem with those guys that go to the apron or cars going to the outside, then you wind up on the bottom of the racetrack. You don't have any of the momentum, and then it's hard to get your car up the racetrack again.
NASCAR says this restart is under review between Larson and Elliott.
That's the first time we've seen somebody get to the outside of Larson, his teammate Elliott. This would be a huge win.
Elliott leads that lap.
Ryan Blaney
to the outside.
Those cars get side by side, and Ryan Blaney had a huge run going into turn 1.
You see Larson's car bottom out, running up bottom.
Alex Bowman in the mix. We talked about his car.
And Christopher Bell.
And how good he is at this racetrack. Look how that momentum slowed down Blaney, and here comes Bell to the outside, Bowman on the inside.
Larson leads this lap, and the restart is good, says NASCAR.
Chase is doing a good job staying on his outside. It's oh so close to clearing him. Not so much. Who's Bell going to go with? Tried to go around them both, didn't he?
Yeah, Larson put a little block on right there to close that middle lane up, and that really hurt the momentum of that 9 car going into turn 3. And now Christopher Bell up on the outside. Blaney.
I think he tapped it. Car took off on him with those cars in front of him side by side.
4 cars under a blanket for second. Make that 5. Ryan Preece wants to play in that orange car on the outside.
Yeah, what a great job by Ryan Preece. As you see Ryan Blaney dive to the bottom. When you don't finish that pass, it makes it really difficult to get off the exit of turn 4.
I'm glad you said that. Pick and choose your battles wisely, Kevin. They get stuck on the inside or the outside or get checked up at least a little bit. It's freight train. Both sides of it.
It tempts you to want to take every run, and this is just a racetrack where you can't take every run. As you see Blaney move up the racetrack, put a little bit of that aero block on the 60 car. Brian Preece saw the flames shoot out of the pipe, made him lift.
Josh Berry running 7th.
Austin Cindric coming into play on the bottom. He's been making good use of that track apron, but now he wants to try to get a side draft off Bowman, and he's got Berry right with him.
It is amazing how these cars are moving around with the dirty air. They lose the nose, as Larry showed us in the beginning of the show. You do not want to be in the wake of that car in front of you.
Alex Bowman with the big run off turn 2 this time.
Got tight right there off the exit of turn 2, and you see Josh Berry get a big run because that 48 had to lift.
And here comes Hamlin. Denny Hamlin coming up from 9th spot.
Man, Cindric had to lift in a big way. Almost got collected off of 4.
And that's worst case scenario right there. Now he's going to get passed by 5 cars. Just that much of a lift out of the throttle or a moment like that, especially when all these cars are so tightly packed together, costs you 5-6 positions. Oh, big contact.
Yeah, Bowman and Zane Smith got together. Smith, who got the final stage point in stage number 1, has been running up here in the top 10, and he just got sandwiched.
Yeah, that was pretty heavy contact there, Mike.
Kyle Busch behind him. And then Keselowski. A couple of former champs wanting to break into that top 10 and mix it up.
That's 8.
Cindric trying to recover from 14th against Reddick and Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, you see these 3 cars right here, 3 wide, 11 up the racetrack. You see Zane, he knew that he felt like the 11 was going to come up far enough that he was going to get into the side of the 48 and tried to lift.
Yeah, good bit of contact there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that it didn't shoot him up there and just get tight.
Well, it squeezed just a little bit. Anytime when you're running this fast, right, at a racetrack this fast, you lose your direction and have to point in a different direction. They don't like that. You don't have any room.
Anybody care to guess who has the Xfinity fastest lap of the race? Kyle Larson. 178.29 miles per hour. A good gap over Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher.
Well, he's been fast since they unloaded that thing off the trailer yesterday. Qualified on the pole, led every lap there in the first stage, and now he had a little bit of a challenge from Chase Elliott right there, but it has been lights out for Kyle Larson.
Justin Haley 15th with Reddick, Logano, Eric Jones in the mix.
Yeah, 2 cars right there, especially that 45. We expected a lot out of Tyler Reddick, and here Eric Jones get tight off of turn 2, but that 45 car is not run like we thought it should run today, Clint.
Watch this, guys. About as close as it gets to a wreck.
Oof.
Oh, man.
And from the Ford Performance Cam on Todd Gilliland, here's how that looked. Yeesh.
That'll get your attention, won't it?
That will get your attention.
Kyle Larson has moved into 3rd in the all-time lap leader list here, behind only Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr.
Another good opportunity for us today. 267 lap race, no waiting on fuel today. You know, tires are definitely wearing and falling off. I think just about any time we get the opportunity to come and put them on, we'll do that. Behind the wall today, got a couple different people in different spots with Greg being gone. So Travis, you'll be handing in the second can when we have that. And then Andy, you'll be, you know, catching the right front. Obviously be communicating on that, and if we need to make adjustments through the day, I would make sure we go ahead and do that.
All right, fellas. Kansas, baby. Let's go. Get some momentum. Keep going. Let's go 12, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 12.
That was the pre-race meeting for Ryan Blaney's crew. Jonathan Hatzler, the crew chief, Tim Fiedel with it. Spotter up on the roof. Blaney is fourth. He is the first Ford in the race behind Larson, Bell, and Elliott.
Well, one position behind him. And let's talk about the Wood brothers. Unbelievable. From 38th, Kevin, started dead last.
Well, we expect that 21 car to be fast. He had some trouble yesterday in qualifying, bent a toe link, got into the wall, bent that toe link, had to make some repairs to the right side of the car. So we knew that the 21 would be good. I don't know that I expected him to get to the front this fast, but that car has been really good, along with the car right behind him, Alex Bowman. He had a little bit of trouble right there on the restart, getting mixed up, but that car is running some good lap times right now.
And it's been in the wall. On the outside of Zane Smith, he hit that wall pretty hard, so pretty impressive that it's rolling to the front on this long run.
And those two have been fighting pretty hard there for the 5th position. Now you go back to 9th and 10th along with Barry. Zane Smith and Brad Keselowski, 9th and 10th, also started this race from the rear. Regan?
Well, Mike, just to update the number 38 is Zane Smith. Keep in mind, this is a car yesterday that had a flat right rear tire, also had contact with the rear, but they qualified pretty good, still qualified 18th, opted to go ahead and fix the car, though, because they wanted to be assured that it would be absolutely perfect. That's how confident they were in the speed that they had in practice yesterday, and that is showing up today as he's driven his way to the top 10. Of course, a little contact with the 48 car a few laps back, but Zane has been very pleased, a little loose, a little tight at times. This is a group that's confident and having a good day.
Yeah, he's coming. His lap times are only 0.2 of a second off Kyle Larson's currently. One of the quicker cars in our top 10. Drawing a bead on Ryan Preece here. This is for 8th place. Preece and Smith.
Yeah, you see him choose to take that middle lane right there. You definitely have to go where they are not.
Bell's starting to struggle with the long run speed of his race car. You see Chase Elliott right there behind him, Blaney in tow. They've both run him down. He's holding them up.
Yeah, and right now Christopher Bell is about 0.4 of a second off of Kyle Larson, so definitely something not to Christopher's liking right now with the car. Now Chase Elliott, he's kind of stuck behind him right now. He's going to have to work that middle lane and try to get that right front fender into that left rear to use that side drive to finish this pass, but definitely something not right with that 20. Jamie?
Yeah, you guys were actually talking about William Byron a little bit ago. He's a lap down back in 29th. Has not made up much ground. Just listening to him, extremely tight on that short run. He just told his team, I'm trying to run right up here at the wall like he's doing now to try to compensate for that. So this car is certainly not to his liking.
And Jamie, he is the 7th car 1 lap down, so nowhere near in position to get a free pass.
Well, Larry, we saw those guys yesterday in practice when they had trouble with their tires. All of them was working on their diffusers overnight. You think that's the problem with Byron after that flat?
Well, you see Chase Elliott right there be able to get around Christopher Bell. I think you're going to see him drive off.
Sorry about that, Clint. I'm looking at data down here. I'm trying to figure out why that damn 5 car is so good.
So's everybody else out here.
He is so fast through the middle of the corner. It's unbelievable. But there's no question. We saw it yesterday with those cars that had a flat. It definitely did damage to the rear diffuser. That's one of the most sensitive parts of that race car.
Only car faster than Kyle Larson at the last lap was Josh Berry. Berry sits in 5th. Larson, Elliott, Bell, your leaders. 119 laps complete in Kansas. Here's our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. The best seat in the house since 1925. Happy 100th anniversary to the Goodyear blimp. William Byron, a lap down, came in and made a pit stop, and so did Hendrick's Alex Bowman. Thought I saw him on pit. No. 7th place. Having a hard time finding Bowman today. He did not pit. We'll get back with that. So, Larry, looks like we're just seeing a couple of the cars a lap or more down coming in.
Yeah, Mike, splitting it in half is 126, which is 6 laps from now. I see Cindric on pit road. I think you'll start to see some of them come now within the next 2 to 3 laps. Let's see if Chris Gale and Denny Hamlin runs it long. But remember what Jamie Little told us, that's a big deal on pit stops, is that clutch.
Yes. Here's Michael McDowell, our Gunk onboard camera on McDowell, who is one of 9 cars currently 1 lap down. Jamie?
Yeah, and Larry just mentioned it, the 11 and their clutch issues. So what are they going to do when they come back down pit road? Listen.
Come in the stall, put it in neutral. We're going to help push it. You drop it first and we're going to roll. If that doesn't work and you have trouble, then you'll shut the engine off, put it in second, make sure it's in second, refire the engine and use the starter to pull away. Stay after it here. We're not over. I know it's discouraging, but let's control what we can control.
Kevin, if it's that bad, we're in bad trouble.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, either way, even if they get going again, it's going to be difficult to keep the track position. You're not going to keep the track position, so.
Noah Gregson's been on pit road. So would this be a hydraulic issue with Hamlin?
Definitely lost fluid or air pocket, something in it. Usually, you know, sometimes you can pump that up if it's got a little air pocket or something in it. If it's all the way gone like that, I'd say it's no coming back.
Austin Cindric had to come back down pit road. He had an uncontrolled tire on his stop. Ross Chastain is in.
We're piling up those penalties today.
Yes, 5 of them so far.
37 of them coming in. You knew it was going to happen. You can make up a lot of ground short pitting here, but much like Larry covered with that 11 car staying out and kind of being on the benefactor on the back side of that. Have to have a lot of patience with that to let it play through, but it worked for them last time.
Austin Dillon in. Here's Christopher Bell. Regan.
Mike Christopher Bell in the 20 car, much like he has been the majority of the day, starting off the run too tight. The problem is, though, it transitions too quick to loose. He's been complaining about losing the right rear quickly in runs. As a matter of fact, more quickly this time as we saw him losing some positions there.
All right, Tyler Reddick in.
Here comes Elliott and Blaney.
Josh?
For Chase Elliott, as he comes into his pit box, he's still reporting that that car is too tight. No adjustments for him once again, just 4 tires and fuel, Jamie.
And Ryan Blaney said the fronts just keep going away, just a little too tight. Keep hearing that from these drivers. Air pressure adjustment every time he's come down pit road today. You see that chassis adjustment right there as they work the left side. 4 tires for Blaney.
Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe getting service, and here's the leader, Kyle Larson.
No surprise there. I think they stayed out 1 lap too many that last time, let him get a little bit too close for comfort.
He's led 114 of the 126 laps today. Regan.
And Mike, it's been all good things on the radio. Pretty pleased with what's going on inside the car. Good feedback and very detailed feedback, whether it's yellow flag or green flag pit stops as to what the car is doing. The biggest thing he said this last run was I struggled a little bit more when I got to traffic than I wanted to. Josh?
Well, for Joey Logano, it's been a bit of a struggle today. That car is just too tight for him. He said, I need more rear security, more than I need front turn right now. We'll see if they can get that 22 where it needs to be for this next run.
Josh Berry, Alex Bowman, and Denny Hamlin in and out. Ryan Preece comes in along with Nemechek and Gilliland.
Seems
Bubba
like
Wallace, Corey Heim.
Yeah, it seems like they had as much trouble on the pit stop as they did taking off there for Denny Hamlin.
Carson Hocevar, who won yesterday's truck race, assumes the lead. He and teammate Justin Haley have not yet been to pit road, nor has Daniel Suarez, McDowell, Custer, Gibbs, or Stenhouse.
You see that on the scoring pile on there, you see Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley Now Haley's on pit road, but they're definitely running this run long. Hocevar leading the race right now.
I'll show you what happened to Denny Hamlin's stop.
Had trouble on the right front. Lost his lug nut. Lost his backup too, Kevin. You saw him reach for his belt for the backup, and it fell off.
17.4 seconds for Denny Hamlin, stopped on pit road because of that right front issue.
Yeah, and if you're going to have one that is that long, it's almost better to have it under a green flag pit stop because, you know, the cars aren't all bunched together, and I actually probably lose less time than what you'd lose under yellow.
Stay out, keep digging. Keep digging. The 10's on pit road.
10 being Ty Dillon, who is a couple laps down.
Yeah, and the reason that they're talking about Ty Dillon is their pit stall location.
Yeah, good point. No chance of being blocked in there. So Larson is 13 seconds behind Hocevar, who has not pitted, as you see on our map at the top of the screen, as this cycles through with 35 laps to go in the stage.
Mike Hocevar is 2 seconds a lap slower than Larson, but now fuel-wise, he can go another 15, 16 laps.
Nope. Here he comes, Larry. And he stopped right up at the head end of pit road. So after that long run, he was last on pit road at lap 87 during the stage break. And we'll see where he cycles through. Going to pass Suarez, who is stopped there, and Riley Herbst coming into his stop. So Kyle Larson back to the lead here in Kansas with 34 to go in stage 2.
Next week, it's All-Star Weekend from historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. The Cup Series chases the $1 million prize, starting with practice on Friday afternoon.
131 laps to go here. We're at 56 complete out of 85 in stage number 2. Everybody has made that pit stop. Well, Cole Custer's come in, and now Ty Gibbs makes his stop. That'll complete the cycle. Kyle Larson back out to a 3.6 second lead over Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell 6.7 back. First Toyota, then Ryan Blaney's Ford 8 seconds back of the leader. Here's the top 10 as they run, and in the right column you see where they were running before the stop. Denny Hamlin came in 5th and came out 10th, and we'll show you again what happened here.
Well, he's got the clutch issues, and you're going to see this right front tire carrier. The lug nut is off, and then he drops the extra lug nut, grabs the original lug nut, puts it back on.
The jackman actually grabbed the original.
He did.
You can see the old one still got one sitting there, but this is the other problem. Just like we talked about leading in, Jamie told us the clutch is not going to work. The plan was to get it rolling. Listen.
Yeah, and basically what he did right there, Clint, they got it rolling just a little bit, and he revved the engine up and just shoved it as hard as he could into first gear. So that's not going to be very good on that transaxle.
But Kevin, you made the point. Since that happened under green, he lost a lot less positions than if we had stopped under caution with everybody on pit.
Yeah, with the cars spread out under green, you're going to lose a lot less positions with a 17-second pit stop. If that happens when we come to pit road under caution, he's most likely going to be the last car on the lead lap.
All right, time now for Straight Talk from the Spotters, sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless.
.31.57.
Lap better tires here. Still 3. 1 inside on the paint. Still inside, just him.
All the way, Ryan. All the way, all the way, all the way. Outside 88, just shooting him. Yeah, all clear, all clear.
Still just you in the 3 here. 22 to go. 2-2. Just for reference, leaders at the line now. Bubba's 1 down. You've got a 10-lap advantage, Sam. Still there. Clear. To his 76. 20 to go for him. Even. Door. Quarters clear. All clear. By 2. Very top. By 3. Still by 2. All.
20 to go in stage 2. Kyle Larson up by 3 seconds. 21 cars on the lead lap. Ty Gibbs made a pit stop, had a commit line violation, and Cole Custer was just on pit road. Welcome back to Kansas, where Kyle Larson now has a 2.3 second lead over Chase Elliott. Christopher Bell in third, Ryan Blaney in fourth, Josh Berry the top 5. Here's Regan.
Mike, Kyle Larson, of course, out front leading right now. Lost just a little bit of time off of that lead, but take a listen to the detailed information Cliff Daniels just gave him.
Got a little bit of a vibration.
Feels okay on our end. Let me know if you feel like it worse. Both right side tires were worn pretty good. No cores on that last run. You can just tell that they had been worked pretty hard. So just need to part with it and make sure you got enough for the end.
Well, that's good advice. And we talk about that right rear tire of Kyle Larson. We know how hard he drives that car, and he drives right through that tire sometimes. And we've seen it bite him before here at Kansas by wearing that right rear tire out. So you definitely, we saw Ty Dillon's earlier down to the cord. We know how far he ran, but he is definitely hard on that right rear.
Well, he's eased it a little bit. Of the top 10 drivers, his lap time last time by was only 5th or 6th quickest of the top 10.
And I think Cliff does a great job. You know, with Kyle, you definitely have to help manage and pull the reins back on him to keep him in the wheelhouse of taking care of things. And you don't want to take him and beat him down and take that fire out of him. But Kyle Larson definitely will stand on the gas, and Cliff Daniels does a good job in managing that.
Josh Berry having a look at Christopher Bell here. This is for 4th place.
Yeah, well, we saw that 20 car fall off big time last time, late in the second half of that run. So seems to be that 20 car goes loose based upon the information that we've had. So when that car goes loose, it just becomes really difficult to make speed on the entry to the corner. And when you're having to counter steer that car to the right, you just can't be aggressive with it. So anytime that car starts to get loose, making good lap time consistently is going to be very difficult to do. But definitely second half of the run's a struggle for Bell.
So Berry moves up to 4th. We knew he'd be one of the fastest Fords today, with Bell in 5th in the Toyota, as we've discussed, and 6th Alex Bowman, who started 19th, but otherwise Bowman's been in the top 10 all day.
We knew he had a strong car yesterday. His long run speed was really good, and really today it looks like you need a Hendrick car. I know that you know, the 24 car had a little bit of trouble with that right rear tire going down, but these other 3 cars, Larson, Elliott, and Bowman, they've been in the mix all afternoon so far.
Now here's Brad Keselowski in 7th, looking for his first top 10 of the season. 2 of his 4 fastest stops of the season have come today, so everybody has risen to the occasion for Keselowski. And behind him in 8th, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin restarted 7th. Began the day in 14th. 4 Kansas wins for Hamlin.
Well, he's not going to win today with the trouble that he has with that clutch. It's just going to be almost impossible to win. But Zane Smith, these guys had trouble yesterday with the right rear tire, got into the wall in practice, and he has run great all day today.
Ryan Preece had a couple of runs up toward the front earlier in the race. He's been hanging around the top 10 most all day in his RFK Ford.
Yeah, qualified at the back of the pack, worked his way right up to the front, and these guys they've really been solid all year.
And Kyle Busch. Kyle scraped the wall in qualifying, started in 35th, trying for his 3rd Kansas win, and trying here to break into the top 10.
Yeah, got a little loose right there off of turn 2. And we heard Richard Childress talk about that earlier with Jamie McMurray up on top of the trailer. They were trying to figure out how to get him tightened up, and you definitely saw the back end step out right there on that 8.
Joey Logano, last week's winner, must be breathing a sigh of relief now that he's got a win in his pocket and will be in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, he didn't have a top 5 to his name yet, and obviously the penalty at Talladega was unexpected. Had a great finish there, but you could tell in his pre-race conversation today, Clint, that he wasn't very confident in his car.
Behind him, Chris Buescher, who fired off from the outside pole and finished 2nd here last year by the thinnest of margins. He ended up in outside the top 20 after pit stops, but he's fighting his way back, Regan.
Mike, that's exactly right. They're doing everything they can. A little bit of slow pit stop earlier in the race got them back just a little ways. But the larger issue for the 17 cars, they have been very loose all day long. They've been struggling to get that car tightened up. But the latest report from Chris was that it was finally getting a little bit better. Did not want it tightened up anymore. So let's see if he can make some gains forward. Josh?
Well, you guys talked about the surprise of the 45 and Tyler Reddick not running in the top 10, not running in the top 5. I can tell you that team is surprised as well. They felt really good about that car coming into this race, about the short run, about the long run. But during this race, Reddick has complained that it is just too tight, doesn't have the turn that he needs. He ended up scraping the wall a bit in stage number 1. No damage for him, but he has been searching for the speed out there on the track today.
Reddick was 14th. And now falls to Justin Haley.
See Reddick in the wall is still wiggling around quite a bit, but coming to 4 to go here. I got my eye on the leader, guys. Mired in traffic, and Elliott's right behind him. Every time he gets close, and I say he, Larson, to those 4 cars racing side by side, is really nowhere to go. He's being patient, doing exactly what his crew chief Cliff Daniels told him to do.
And now you're going to have another battle because Noah Gragson just ahead of him is the last car on the lead lap. Then Ross Chastain and then Chase Briscoe, and they're all up there in a big knot of cars. What's Larson going to do?
He's moving to the inside of Noah Gragson right there.
Yeah, and I think he got uncomfortable with the distance that he had behind him. So
time to go.
10,000 career laps led. That's a lot of laps,
that's
Mike.
That's a lot. Only 3 active drivers with that many career laps led. Kyle Busch would be one of those. Denny Hamlin the other.
Kevin, I asked you on the break, when you have a dominant race car like this, it makes it easier for the competition to stack the deck against you. I told you Chase Elliott's getting closer to him.
Yeah, that right rear tire is not happy, it doesn't look like, on Kyle Larson's car as we come to the final lap of this stage. But you saw it slide around, and Chase Elliott has closed in to the back bumper of that 5 car. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes right around him.
Well, no, here's Gragson trying to get back. He wants to fight his way back on the lead lap. The car just ahead of the race leader is Chastain. And Larson drops to the bottom. Elliott's coming. So is Gragson rim riding around the outside. Chastain's going to stay on the lead lap. And Larson's going to hold off Elliott to win stage 2, but it was close.
Well, there's a chink in the armor right there, and we talked about that right rear tire with Kyle Larson, and you could definitely, we heard Cliff talk about it, and we saw that car dancing around right there, so definitely something to be concerned with.
For the 14th time, Kyle Larson has swept the 2 stages. We'll have pit stops coming up for the end of stage 2.
You over here talking about him, and
I was
right when you're
trying
talking
to brag
about
on
him, all of a sudden
I was trying to
sideways.
brag on Kyle Busch right there. They had put themselves in a position, and we talked about their pit crew and their ranking. They did a great job on pit road to put themselves in position to have a chance to win the race, and the 8 car was fast. Everybody wants Kyle Busch to win right now, and I was trying to give the guy some love, and mid-sentence, we're backed into the fence off of turn 4, but that just really seems to be the way that it's going for this 8 car right now.
Join Kevin and the gang every Tuesday and Thursday. Is this the most opinionated podcast in NASCAR? Maybe. Tune in and see. Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour presented by Echo Park Automotive. Jamie.
And Kyle Busch has been running around the top 10 all day long. As far as his pit crew coming into this season, he had 2 changes, and it's been a struggle week to week. But the last few weeks, they've really gelled and found their stride. So let's meet Team 8.
Shane Papala, front tire changer in the 8 Chevrolet, 18th year in NASCAR. When I'm not changing tires on the weekend, I work in my son's core division with my wife, Amy and Lucas. I love you guys.
Shiloh Windsor. I'm the rear changer on the number 8 Chevrolet. I'm a former defensive end for the University of Wyoming. All glory to God.
Lamar Neal, tire carrier on the 8 Chevrolet. I'm a former collegiate linebacker, and when I'm not changing tires, I'm changing diapers.
Dylan Moser, Jackman for the number 8 Chevrolet. 11th season in the sport, first season with Richard Childress Racing, former middle linebacker, former Sports Center top 10. To my beautiful wife and kids at home, Daddy loves you.
Justin White, fueler for the number 8 Chevrolet. This is my 15th season in NASCAR, and I'm a former basketball player.
Randall Burnett's the crew chief. Derek Nealand up on the spotter stand. I just wonder how fast he can change that diaper, though.
Fast.
It's all about speed.
Yeah, I mean, when you're competitive, you want to do everything that you
have to do it fast, guys. You're holding your breath.
That's right. Yeah, very true.
All right, Kyle Larson's crew, still the best of the top 5 on track right now, according to our season rankings.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Ryan Blaney's team made a change on their car. They've been really good today on their pit stop, so held their own, gained some spots so far.
Zane Smith, Ryan Preece picking up stage points. Brad Keselowski 6th. Let's see how this plays out. Josh.
Well, Chase Elliott finished 2nd in both stages today. Started the race on the tight side. They built free during that last run, trying to find a happy medium to get this 9 where it needs to be, Jamie.
Ryan Blaney in the 12 said no grip at all. That's his biggest complaint. Said he had a 4-wheel drift into 3, just so loose. They'll help him with an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Josh Berry having a great day. Just letting him know where he is, letting him know that his pace isn't far off from Kyle Larson. Just keep digging. Air pressure adjustment for the 21, Regan.
Kyle Larson in the 5 car just out of the track in traffic a little bit too much that run. Thought maybe he beat the tires up, as we've said.
Did he get him? He did, guys. Chase Elliott to the point. How about that?
Well, that was the conversation we were just having. What will happen if Kyle Larson loses control of this race? But there you have it.
Man, and look, you go back to the timing line right there. It was so close.
Kyle Larson sweeps stage 1 and 2. A lot of racing left to go here in Kansas.
Live with Jamie McMurray, Chris Myers just above victory lane. One stage to go here in Kansas at the AdventHealth 400. And so far, the stage stealer, Kyle Larson, dominating. He's led all but 15 laps through winning both stages, surpassing 10,000 career laps led. He's also won twice this year and twice in Kansas. However, worth pointing out, he led the most laps last week and didn't win in Texas. Let's see if he can hang on. A quick recap of the race so far. We had a surge of early cautions. A.J. Allmendinger, second straight DNF. Blew an engine here, the 16 car. And then it was a couple of cars running second. William Byron with a tire blowing out, trying to enter pit road, the Daytona 500 winner. Now, he was second at the time. And even Denny Hamlin, who's won more races here than any driver in this race, dropped lug nut, had a clutch issue. And then Larson, as Hamlin tried to challenge him and is hoping to work his way back up, takes stage 1 and takes stage 2.
Yeah, unfortunately for Denny Hamlin, I think he might have the fastest car, arguably. I mean, I know Larson's won, but Denny's not been able to get up front and show that. He clearly has an issue. I'm going to take him out of the race. Barry, though, has been a great story. Won at Las Vegas on a 1.5 miles earlier this year. Had that penalty, going to have to go to the back. Chris, I don't know if he has enough time to get back to the front, but the 21 has a really fast car today.
Yeah, and the story of Zane Smith hanging in the top 10, looking for that first career win. No driver has ever won his first Cup race here at Kansas Speedway. They've been running here since 2001. We'll be back with post-race a little later. Back to Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer.
Thanks, Chris. Getting ready for stage 3, and that race off pit road might have turned out differently had they not changed the timing line to coincide with the speed ending line, the yellow line at the end of pit road. Previously, the white line right there where Kyle Larson is was the timing line to reestablish the restart order, and Larson would have won the race off pit road. But now NASCAR standardizing at most tracks right there. That is the speed line, and now it is also the timing line for the race off pit road.
Yeah, and I think it makes it a little more fair as you look at those timing lines and spreading those things out. So
we just saw it.
Yeah, definitely changed the lineup right here.
Well, Kyle Larson, the best restarter among those who will restart in the top 5 here. 3 drivers took the wave around. Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, and Cole Custer to each get a lap back and move up into the 1 lap down or 2 lap down in the case of Dillon area. Denny Hamlin was 8th before pit stops and wound up coming out 13th after they had to push the car off. Here's some Kyle Larson radio.
Yeah, he's really good. I don't know how to be much better.
Beginning of the run and middle of the run, we have a lot of speed, and it seems like your balance is close.
Kevin, how many times have you told me that? That right rear.
You got to take care of it. You got to make
humanizes him.
You got to make sure that you take care of that so that the second half of these runs, we're going to see some more long runs as we come to this restart.
There is definitely a weak link right there. I think his takeoff speed, you can run, but you might not be able to hide, and I think Chase Elliott exposed that. Here we go.
Elliott, control car on the restart.
Well, that
choosing the inside.
Yeah, and that bottom lane didn't get formed up very good. Now you see Kyle Larson able to hold door-to-door there with Chase Elliott on the exit of the corner, actually creep ahead of him down the back straightaway.
How about Brad Keselowski?
3rd place on the high side. Bell there in the middle. Blaney on the bottom. Here they come off turn 4. 1, 2, and 3 wide. 4 wide back in the top 10.
Wow. Denny's car really took off on him on the exit of 4, stacked him up behind them.
These restarts are crazy.
Well, we're definitely going to see how this 5 car handles in traffic.
See the 45 there of Reddick shoot down below that 77, but one thing Kyle Larson hasn't had to do all day is pass a car.
Chase Elliott had led 6 laps in the first 2 stages. Larson had led 154, But now the roles are reversed among the two Hendrick Chevrolet drivers.
And sometimes when it's this late in the race, you get behind on your car because you hadn't run in traffic. You don't know what the process needs to be, where you need to run on a racetrack, which seam works for you to set up that pass. So it's definitely a tricky situation right now for Kyle Larson.
That's such a good point, Kevin. But look right behind them. I'm so impressed with Keselowski and company on this 6 car. I said before the race, we were talking about it coming onto the air, almost in a must-win situation. He might win it right here today at Kansas Speedway.
Well, let's not forget, this stage is 17 laps longer than stage 2, which was 5 laps longer than stage 1. So each of these runs will be longer, meaning you got to take even better care of those tires than you did in the first 2 stages.
And we've seen this 5 and 20 car of Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson. They both fall off pretty bad at the end of this run, or at the end of these long runs. So those extra laps will definitely be interesting as you see Brad Keselowski try to finish that pass on that 5.
It's amazing when 2 cars get side by side how much it benefits the car behind them. Bell came from nowhere, 5, 6, 7 car lengths back and pulled right to their bumper. Where's he going to go? Might make it 3 wide getting into 3.
Now they're also drawing Blaney and Bowman to them as they run 3 wide.
This is as good a car as Brad has had all season long. He's going to give it everything.
And I think Brad knows that he's in a situation to where he has an opportunity to win a race, and Brad's got a lot of experience, and I think when you look at his points position, he's going to have to win. As you see those cars almost come together off of turn 2.
Well, he needs to get it sorted out. You're going to have to save some tire. I believe that Larson was trying to do that on his takeoff speed here, as you see Elliott drive away from them, but Brad took it from him. Power move.
How about that?
Got the job done. I think you're showing a little bit of patience. You called it. You're pulling those reins back. Cliff Daniels on his driver in the 5 car. Trying to get this thing down to the end, but you can't say enough about Keselowski. This is a huge turnaround for this team.
Keselowski 11 straight races without a top 10. Kyle Busch 7 straight on 1.5-mile tracks. He is currently 15th.
The other thing that I will say, watching that 5 car run the bottom of the racetrack, I actually think that running the bottom of the racetrack is worse than anything else that you can do. I think the middle and up will make those tires last a lot longer.
Larry, let's talk about Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels' strategy for this final run.
Well, what I'm seeing is he cannot get back to the throttle on the exit of the corner. When he tries to pick it back up, he has to play with it a lot longer than Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski and even Christopher Bell. He just cannot get back to the throttle and stay in it.
And speaking of Keselowski, who has really distanced Larson right now, Brad's run in a top 2 position in only 1 of the last 10 races before today. So a banner day for RFK. All right, we're going to go back and pick up Eric Jones in the 43 for Legacy Motor Club. And AdventHealth is going to take us for an inside ride with Eric Jones.
Not too bad. I lost time in scoring from Wi-Fi. I'll let you know when it comes back. 10-4, coming back, 10 on tire.
Now that pass by Noah Gragson was not for position. Gragson is on the lead lap. Jones currently among those cars 1 lap down. He is chasing. He's chasing Corey Heim, and the next car behind him that he is racing is Austin Dillon.
Yeah, and you can really hear him pedaling that car. When you get to the center of the corner, these cars just want to slide all the way up off. So definitely have to manage it like he's doing right there.
.83 laps to go in Kansas. A couple of Aspire cars there, nose to tail. Hocevar and Haley 12th and 13th. Let's go up to 5th place. Alex Bowman and his radio.
Either way, we're
I like you being wound up, but we're better than you feel right now, right? So be positive or whatever here, but we got a good car. We've overcome this weekend, so like we are still in the win this month. I'm still planning on going to your house tonight, drinking whiskey. That's his way of telling me to shut the fuck up, so I'm trying. He can just have his way today, Blake.
Well, Blake Harris, the crew chief.
I agree, though. This car's better than.
Well, that was the crew chief and the spotter talking right there, and they were having a conversation about Alex and his comments and things that he was saying. But Kevin Hamlin feels like he knows him pretty well, basically telling him to be quiet.
All right, we'll go up a few cars ahead of him to second place, and Brad Keselowski. Regan.
Well, Mike, it's a lot happier story on Brad Keselowski's radio right now. Jeremy Bones, you've got your driver up to the front, told me you could pass your way all the way up there. You have done it. What's the right call at the end of this race now to see it all the way through?
Well, if it stays green, we just got to time the last stop right and try to make the right adjustments to stay with the track. It's getting a little bit tighter, it seems like, so just got to make the right decision.
All right, looking good. Thanks for talking to us.
Keselowski 1.6 seconds off the lead, held by Chase Elliott. But is he the only car that's passed Kyle Larson all day? He's not counting the restart.
Well, Chase passed him in the pits, right? And so yes, that's correct.
And I think seeing Brad run good is definitely something that everybody wants to see. We know that they're capable of it, so it's great to see him put together a day so far.
Absolutely. Well, now instead of showing you a car commercial, we're going to stay right here for commercial-free racing from Kansas and go Toyota all out. Christopher Bell, fourth place. He's the leading Toyota in this race. He's run up as high as second today.
Got Denny Hamlin behind him. Clutch issues.
But they've made the most of it. You know, he lost a couple of spots because of that dropped center lock nut on the right front wheel. But that last pit stop, which could have been disastrous as they had to push him to get going.
Still 2
didn't
for
lose
1
that
right
much.
there.
Yep.
That car is extremely fast.
Really fast. And it never seems like those problems happen on a day when the car's just slow. And Denny Hamlin, I mean, he has been on point all day today, and unfortunately just has that clutch problem.
So Bell and Hamlin now nose to tail. Let's go back to 11th spot. Chase Briscoe 9.8 off the lead, and Tyler Reddick.
Briscoe's had a really quiet day today, and as you look at him back there in 11th position, definitely need to figure out how to just get a little bit better, I think. But even if you're not where you want to be running in the front, if you can keep yourself in the backside of that top 10, I still think that's a victory for those guys.
Yeah, building on a new team, there's no question. Just need the consistency to smoothen out.
On the other hand, I think we expected more from Tyler Reddick today.
We did. And really, we expected every weekend. That's just the level of driver and team that we've come to expect. Now, we talk about 2311 having 4 cars in the race today. Definitely makes it more difficult on the resources in the shop. So,
yeah, it's not just Reddick. No. Bubba as well. Obviously, he had trouble in the pits. It was an equipment violation there, but I thought that those cars, both of them, have been in victory lane here, would be better than they are.
So Reddick in 12th. Talking Bubba Wallace, he's back in 24th, 1 lap down. And you're watching from Corey Heim, who is just ahead of Wallace, also 1 lap down in his first, let's say, official or planned drive for 2311. They also have John Hunter Nemechek running in 20th, Eric Jones in 26th. Riley Herbst and Ty Gibbs 3 laps down each. So thanks, Toyota, for providing us with more green flag coverage here from Kansas with Toyota All Out. "74 laps to go, and it looks like Brad Keselowski is making some small inroads on Chase Elliott's lead."
Look at that. He sure is.
Yeah, that last lap was big time gain.
There's another 10th.
Brad's in the wall.
Caution's out. Start creeping low here. Come on down. Blue tire.
Fourth caution of the day, a blown tire for Brad Keselowski.
And that's really been the story of the year. Every time things are going good, something like this happens.
I'm okay.
Unbelievable. They heard him on the radio talk about blowing a tire. And you can see right there the right rear's down. And we talked about it, Clint.
Why is this car fast?
As this day went on, who was going to be brave on that rear air pressure? And obviously, they got it down lower. That speed picked up, got towards the front. Then the pace picks up for them, and boom. Such a fine line.
Well, look what it was doing for them. I mean, there's a reason you push it. Larry, so minimums, let's go to this. We talked about this yesterday in practice. Minimums that they recommend, right, is, what'd you say, 22 pounds?
22 pounds in the left rear, 46 PSI in the right rear, but we know for a fact, talking to Goodyear all year long, teams probably go 4 to 5 pounds lower than that because there's more performance there the lower you can drop those pressures, but you step into the durability range.
You step into that dragon's mouth. You're living in it. And, you know, this air pressure, when you talk about it being lower here, it affects the car more than just about anywhere else that we go. When I drove these next-gen cars, this was the place where if you could get that pressure lower, it made the car feel so much better because it gets the back of the car down, and it's a place that is just so sensitive to what the edge is.
And everybody on pit road just learned a little bit from that. This is from yesterday's practice.
And Keselowski was one of those who lost a tire yesterday.
Yeah, we had 4 left rears and one this right rear on the 38 car right here. So it is definitely, you got to live on that edge. And the hard part is when you're running 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then you say, well, all the tires look good. And then you get up there 2nd, 3rd. The pace picks up, and then the travel picks up, and the way that you're on those limiters changes, and that spike, that load that goes into the tire starts to go up, and then you see things like this happen.
Now, once that wrecker hooks you up, they have to tow the car to the garage. You can't come back to pit road. Brad will not get a top 5 or top 10 today, but that doesn't have to be a DNF. They are eligible to make repairs and bring that car back out on track and try to get up to minimum speed. But 2 days in a row, 2 tire issues for Brad K. Well, Larry Mack, we're 31 laps into this stage with 71 to go. What do we do?
It's calls like this that made me follically challenged right here because they're right there on the threshold. Remember, the fuel window is somewhere around 64 to 66 laps. Right now, we're coming to 70 to go. Probably go back racing about 67 to go. We're just right there on the fuel window. Everybody will be coming, though.
16 cars on the lead lap. Plus, I believe John Hunter Nemechek will get the free pass on this caution flag, which is the 4th of the day.
I heard.
So, who's going to be first off pit road?
Well, you want to be the first one off to get control of that restart, so we're going to find out.
Josh.
Well, Chase Elliott's been on both sides of the balance so far today. They got the 3 and 4 really good, but he still needs some help in turns 1 and 2 right now, JB.
All right, let's watch this stop for Denny Hamlin. No clutch here. Pit crew will do the work. Then they're going to assist the driver. They just told Denny, remember, keep your foot on the brake the entire stop. When we drop the jack on the left side, foot off the brake, there they assist him. Taking so much time getting it refired and into gear here. He stalled. Regan?
The 5-car Kyle Larson, once the field thinned out, the balance got better for him, but it was too tight initially.
Hamlin sits motionless on pit road.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure it's not broke. Did you hear how high he had that thing revved up and then tried to shove it into gear, and it's worked the last couple times?
Look at this. Is not the one I want to be looking at. Chase Elliott had trouble, right rear trouble, big shakeup at the front of the field.
And Christopher Bell wins the race off pit road. cautions tend to breed cautions. In fact, there have been 23 caution flags within 5 laps of a restart here at Kansas in the Gen 7 Cup car.
Well, it definitely tends to get more physical as we start to get closer to the end of these races, because these guys know they're running out of laps.
All right, so trouble for Chase Elliott. He had a 14.7 second pit stop. While changing the right rear, it appears that the jack dropped too soon before the wheel was firmly fitted, and the jackman had to come back. Watch the right rear and the jackman. And they had to raise the car again to make sure that that right rear was centered and on tight. 14.7.
Back to 12th place.
Puts him back to 12th place. And Denny Hamlin's car pushed back to the garage. Sounded like he was revving that thing awfully high trying to get it going.
Yeah, and I think that it was going to be a tough task to ask for this car to survive with the way that they were having to put it into gear. So definitely not the situation that 11 team wanted to be in with that clutch issue.
It was a matter of time, wasn't it?
I think so.
I agree. Well,
a couple of wave arounds, so we'll restart with 24 lead lap cars. Bubba Wallace first car 1 lap down. Toyota GR Super Pace car goes to pit road, and we'll have 67 laps to go when they take the restart green. Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson.
That was pretty wild right there. You saw that 22 car go down to block the 19, and nobody was there.
Trouble,
to help
turn 2. Cars in the wall.
Here we go. I was just about to say, this feels a lot like last week, guys.
Ty Dillon, Cody Ware, Daniel Suarez.
And we've seen this happen here so many times, Clint. As we get late in these races, these guys just get so aggressive, and it happens a lot here at Kansas.
I think Logano got Larson. Really, really close.
Well,
that
we'll go
restart.
Back to the last scoring loop that they crossed before the caution flag waved to determine that. The way they go 3 wide, 4 wide on this restart, it may be hard to figure out how this one started. But we'll have a look.
You see the 10 car get loose on the bottom of the racetrack, go up the hill, hit the 51, and 99 just an innocent bystander there.
Trying to take evasive action and nowhere to go.
And you can see when those cars got sideways, those leaders were door to door.
Kyle Larson is the race leader at this 5th caution flag. From Todd Gilliland's view. Now let's go back to the last scoring loop that they crossed before the caution flag, and there was the difference.
Game of inches.
Kyle Larson to Joey Logano for the lead. All right, let's catch our breath with 66 laps to go as we watch from Corey Hahn. The Indy 500 on Fox in 2 weeks' time. All right, here's an easy one. Drinking milk in the winner's circle is a longtime Indy tradition that became official in 1956. Who is the only winner who did not drink the milk in Victory Lane?
Oh, you can't do that. I don't know who it is, but who is? I think it was Emerson. What was that guy?
Fittipaldi, and you are right. He's from Brazil.
What a cheater.
And they own a lot of orange groves. The Fittipaldi family does. He was unaware of the milk tradition and chose to drink the family's orange juice in Victory Lane. That was not popular. There it is. There's the there's the quart of orange juice right there. Now, you know, before the 500, the Dairy Association of Indiana polls every single driver for what kind of milk they want to drink should they end up in Victory Lane. That way there's no orange juice and no questions.
Chocolate milk? Chocolate milk.
I guess that'd be a choice.
Okay.
All right, here's Kyle Larson's radio.
I know you're doing a good job saving fuel right now. Keep it up. We will be right at the lap of making it to the end of the race. So we'll just be aware of that. I'm still going to play for Selena, just in the way we've seen these races end out.
Who's Selena?
Wait. Salinas is a town in California. Isn't that like north of Monterey? Or
That's a code word is what that is. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Mister, where'd he come from? Won this race last week in Texas, Logano, and then Chase Briscoe. Haven't seen these guys all day long. Here they are running in the top 5.
Well, that's the MO with this 22 team. I mean, they sit there, they make their car better, they grind, get a couple on this restart, a couple on that restart, and then they wind up in position when everybody's having trouble.
Speaking of trouble, Denny Hamlin's in the garage area, and let's watch and listen to why. Remember, he's had clutch trouble all day. Hard to get that car going.
Well, their strategy has been rev the engine up, we're going to push you, and then try to slam it into gear. And the gears finally said, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, revving, I heard you, Kevin, you say revving it up and put it in gear. I mean, that's, you know, you have to match the RPM to what that input shaft's rolling. And when it puts in, when you go from a high RPM, eventually that's just a tall order. You're in big trouble when you don't have a clutch to push the clutch in, disengage it, and get the thing in gear. Those gears can only take so much.
And they managed it. They found a limit. They managed it pretty well.
Heck yeah, it lasted longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So here's the choose from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. We're celebrating 100 years of an American icon, the Goodyear blimp. So Larson was the leader at the caution. He chooses the inside against Logano for the front row. Bell and Blaney, Briscoe and Bowman, Smith and Preece. Busher and Elliott the top 10. We will restart with 24 cars on the lead lap, including the free pass car, Bubba Wallace.
Pair of teammates on the outside. Can they work together? Push one of them around this 5 car. They're going to try.
Well, it's all about the launch and who can be connected first. And if you can get launched with that car behind you connected, that's what gets that good run into turn 1. We saw Logano have to pull out and block last time, and those are the types of things that break those lines up. So you never know how it's going to work out here at Kansas. It's one of those very unique racetracks on the restart with how those lanes work. But we do know you have to be aggressive on the restarts. You have to push, you have to shove. And these guys know getting towards the end.
It'll be 61 to go. No shortage of aggression here. Boy, Larson jumps right out by himself.
Well, Logano didn't get a good start.
And everybody fans out 5 wide.
Yeah, and the other thing that happened right there, Kyle Larson waited a little bit in the restart zone, and the 20 got into the back of him. And like Clint said, the 22 didn't get going very well, but they're back at it. 8 car.
Oh, no.
Kyle Busch with a big slide.
No yellow yet. No yellow.
Nope, we stay green.
Yellow.
Not anymore.
Get rolling here if you can.
Kyle was 13th. That will be the 6th caution flag on lap 208.
Oh, now he's stuck. Not going to be able to go. This might cost him a lap.
Now the driver can stay in the car, ask for a push, or ask for the wrecker to give him a lift, in which case he'd have to go back to the garage. It'll be a push. Yep.
Let's go back to the replay here, but I think he's going to be frustrated.
Yeah,
he was on the inside of 3 cars. That's before wide. Obviously down here on the bottom, Kyle Busch, the 3 on the outside. I think they get into the wall, into one another. Watch this. Bounce, 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 hit him. Innocent bystander. So frustrated.
Yeah, and that's very easy to do in this Gen 7 car. When another car hits that right front tire, it immediately just takes that car out from underneath you.
But what a job he does keeping this car off of the inside wall. Keeping it locked down, and then as it turns off the brake, do some steering. Keep it away from that wall, and then it spins again. But most importantly, it didn't hit the wall.
Didn't hit the wall. He's going to lose a lap on pit road because he got stuck in the grass a little bit right there. But you're going to see. I think they're just 4 wide there, Clint. That's really the problem.
That's exactly what they were. Well, watch the 1 car on the outside. See Chastain up on the top. He got to wiggling, whether he was bouncing off the wall or whatever. He got into the right side of the 21. Josh Berry down into Noah Gragson into Kyle Busch. I mean, almost halfway down the straightaway, out of nowhere.
That's kind of croquet. Berry was getting squeezed. He moves to the left a little bit to give himself some room. That hits Gragson. Gragson into Busch, and Busch for the wild ride.
He just wound up being the last one in the kink in the link in the chain.
Exactly. Jamie.
Well, we've been documenting Denny Hamlin's race all day. Fast car, no clutch from the beginning, Denny. But that last stop, take us through it. What exactly led to this point and you being out of the race?
Yeah, it just, I think, eventually broke the transaxle trying to leave the stall there. So unfortunate for the Progressive Toyota team. Just, you know, really fast again. Just can't keep it together right now.
We'll see you at the All-Star race next week. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Tough day for Denny Hamlin with no clutch. Shane Van Gisbergen will get the free pass on this, the 6th caution flag of the day. .59 laps to go in Kansas. We'll take you Fox side by side. 57 laps to go. Let's check in with Josh.
Well, Brad Keselowski was having such a strong run out there. First of all, could you feel the tire going down, and how do you process this tough end to it? What was a good day for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good day. It was going to be a great day. I felt like we had a shot to win with the Lager Ford Mustang, and pretty car. It's not pretty anymore. Yeah, no, I didn't really have much of a warning. I just wanted to turn one. I heard a big boom, and around it went. So it's unfortunate, you know, we're playing to win, and we're right in the spot to do just that, and didn't come together.
Glad you're okay, Brad. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. Wow.
It has been a heck of a string of bad luck for Brad and this 6 team, but glad to see them have the speed today. That's definitely something that we haven't seen out of that 6 car over the last, well, really the start of the season. We haven't seen the speed like he had today, so that's a sign of good things to come, hopefully.
All right, we're going to have the choose this time by. Then we're going to have another look at what happened that ended up with Kyle Busch going for that wild slide. Might not have been 3 cars, might have been 4 involved. But first, let's see. As Larson takes the inside, Logano goes to the outside, and Bell follows him. So that will put Alex Bowman on Larson's bumper for the restart. Let's hear Josh Berry's radio, and then we'll have another look here.
Go tell the one I'm getting ran into from the inside. And to stop swerving and keep his hands in the car. If you don't want to go up there, then don't go up there.
And here's what he's talking about.
Yeah, and it looks like the 21 and the 1, you know, the 21 is in a spot where he's got 2 cars below him. Gets kind of shoved up into the, into the 1 car. Yeah, and then it looks like the 1 might have swerved at him there a little bit, and that's what started that chain reaction there with the 8.
Yeah, you can see it right here.
Here's Kyle Busch's view. All right, pace car is in. A 4-car incident put us under the 6th caution flag of the day. Green flag waves, and Logano may get the better of Larson on this restart.
Well, that bottom line is going to be broke up now. Chase Briscoe on the inside of Alex Bowman, as you see the 20 car fan out 3 wide to get on the outside of Joey Logano.
Joey Logano holding strong. Here comes Bell on the outside.
Crash off turn 2. 2 cars got squeezed up and into the wall. And here we go again.
Justin Haley. Looks like, I think Eric Jones
Bowman,
is the other one.
Wallace.
Bubba Wallace. We're still wrecking down here in turn 3. A lot of right front damage on Bubba Wallace here.
How many times do we have to say? Cautions breed cautions. The restarts here are like nowhere else.
Well, there's just so much room on the racetrack. You can run from the wall to the white line, so you have so many options as a driver. But at the end, it all funnels down to the exit of turn 2, and you have to know that the front is going to slide, and you have to know how many cars are around you.
7th caution flag of the day. Now, what's Haley? Well, okay, let's show you what happened first. Wow.
Look at this. What happens is you're looking at 5 wide, looking at that. Nemechek on the bottom. Heim kind of moves up the racetrack into Haley. Gets loose there, gets in his left rear. Haley up into Eric Jones. And they're stacking up behind him. Haley clipped the right rear of Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace finishes his wreck down here in turn 3.
Yeah, we're really lucky there's not more cars involved.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah. There's so many lanes on this. Every lane is usable.
Now,
that's both RCR cars within 2 wrecks of one another. That's heavy contact with those 2.
Yeah.
Eric Jones' view.
Boom.
and Corey Heim.
You see that barely clipped Bubba Wallace right there, turning him into the wall.
Yeah, the 23 smoked the wall pretty good.
There's Michael McDowell.
Oh, not good. Whew, we made it.
Yeah, and I think what started that was Corey Heim. The nose took off on him, and he got into the car above him, and that's what started that whole wreck.
So Justin Haley from the accident scene came in reverse all the way around the track to his pit stall, because the rule is if you can drive away from the incident, you can return to your pit for repairs. Now, from the driver's seat, he doesn't know how badly damaged that car is or whether or not they can make repairs, but he wants to give them every opportunity to get him back out on the racetrack. And that's a lot better than if they have to pick him up, in which case they would have to tow him to the garage area. Larry Mack, what are all these caution flags doing for our fuel strategy?
Well, when we had our fourth caution, it was about 30 minutes ago, there was a lot of concern about fuel. We have only realistically barely run 3 green flag laps. I feel good and safe and confident now with all these caution laps. We'd run 12 before this caution, that everybody should be able to make it now with ease. But that doesn't account for an overtime, Mike.
Okay.
Man, this is like deja vu from last weekend, Kevin. We were down here in Texas. Everybody's minding their P's and Q's, kind of single file, spread out all around the racetrack. One caution, all hell breaks loose.
And it's because these guys know that they have to be aggressive on those starts, but not a lot of give right now.
All right, you saw Corey Heim's view out the windshield of what that crash looked like. Let's get his radio.
Not much I could have really done. I mean, 42 is ahead of me. At one point, we were 5 wide and went back to 4. Yeah. I mean, I was giving the 42 as much room as I could while standing under the guy outside of me, so can't really do a whole lot there.
Yeah, I think when he looks at it, he'll probably think a little bit different. I think it.
Yeah.
But it's just there's so much. There's not a lot of space right there, and there's so much happening all at one time. So, in his defense, I mean, there is a lot that you have to digest all at once.
You heard T.J. Bell Jr., his spotter, and Booty Barker is the crew chief for Corey Heim this weekend. We are under caution once again. 50 laps to go in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Let's take a look at what's coming around the turn. Next Sunday, the NHRA is back in action at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. For us, it's the NASCAR All-Star Race Weekend. Coverage Friday through Sunday on the Fox networks, with the All-Star Race Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. And, of course, Sunday, May 25th, the Indianapolis 500 comes to Fox. Coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern Time for the greatest spectacle in racing.
Looking forward to that one. It's going to be the first time we're going to be able to take it in, right? We're always preparing, working for the 600. Take that one in a big way.
That's a great day to be a race fan, too. Start off at Monaco, Indy, end with a 600.
Well, my day is going to start off on a boat and a lake. I'll be watching that 500 out there.
You probably won't even make it to the 600, but.
Oh, that's a long day.
Yeah, that's
a fan.
When you start talking
way
about
better
that
working.
early.
All right, Kyle Larson ranks the best on restarts of the top 5. As we get ready to go back to green, he's got Christopher Bell alongside. How many epic battles have these two had, and are we in for another one today?
Big shot out of his teammate, 48. Behind him, Bowman pushed him way out in front of the field.
A very orderly restart this time.
Oh, Reddick almost around.
Looked like it caught the right front fender there of Todd Gill, and there on the inside in that yellow Love's car.
Larson out by himself. Bowman and Bell for second. And Logano almost into the wall off turn 4 as he and Priest battles. That allows Briscoe in the 19 to get by.
That was a massive run by Chase Briscoe right there in that 19 car. Cleared both of them. Halfway down the straightaway.
You're nice and smooth.
And Briscoe's taken off. 4-car single file front of the field.
Yeah, and it wasn't long ago we were talking about Chase Briscoe and just being happy with a backside of the top 10 finish. Now he's up there 4th place, having a chance to contend for this win.
Blaney alongside Hocevar with Buescher. And further back, there's the fight with Josh Berry. Nowhere to go on Chase Elliott, with Cindric up above and Chastain.
Whoa. Yeah, you see that 21 get tight right there under the 2 of Austin Cindric. This is the part that's interesting, knowing that right rear tire on the 5 car is what wears out, Clint. You see him in the middle of the racetrack. Everything tells you that you want to run as high as you can to save that right rear tire. You see him high through turns 1 and 2, but Blaney on the inside of the 22 car right there.
Yeah, Blaney makes the pass. They almost traded paint at the start-finish line, and Logano comes right back after him.
Let's go back to this restart. We saw Reddick almost turned around in front of a lot of cars. Did a good job saving it. Look up here in the top of your screen.
Oh, they checked up and in front of him.
Yeah.
And the 1 car got into the back of the 45 car and all but turned him.
Yeah, watch this. Watch back in the back. Chastain. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Hold on to it, cowboy.
And you see the difference in. You see Bowman try to time it right there, and
he did.
Kyle Larson has been waiting until deep in this restart zone, and that strategy, that's the 3rd time in a row that strategy has worked out for him.
Launch that car out.
Now Blaney won the battle with Logano, and that allowed Hocevar to come up on the inside and take the spot away from the 22. That's now 7th place.
We haven't heard a lot about Carson Hocevar as we've gone through this day, but he's solid inside the top 10, running 7th.
Won the truck race yesterday, a wild last lap finish with Lane Riggs. Had a great week, great race going last week in Texas. And now Chris Buescher is part of this battle for 7th.
Yeah, and as fast as that 6 car was earlier, even though we think that the air pressure might have been too low, there has to be something that transfers in between those teams. We saw Chris have some trouble earlier in the race on pit road and has steadily started to work his way back towards the front of the field.
Yeah, all the RFK cars have had speed today. Keselowski as high as second, and Priest currently fifth. Jamie.
Yeah, Alex Bowman, the best he's run all day, third. Right now, it's a battle of the dirt trackers up front. They had high hopes coming in. Blake Harris, his crew chief, told me this morning intermediate tracks is their strength, and they really felt like they had something they could compete with, especially against their teammate Kyle Larson. They've been a little bit tight in the center, nothing abnormal. They've been adjusting every stop, and this 48 car is on it right now, Regan.
Well, Jamie, just to update Chris Buescher, who we've mentioned had a bad pit stop earlier, has been working on the car throughout the day. A pit stop ago, they actually sat on pit road for an extended stop. They opted to make a right rear shock adjustment, figuring that they could get the track position back and that the only way they'd be good enough to keep it in the top 10 was to do that. It's worked out. He had fallen back to somewhere around the early 20s after that stop, and now he's back up in the top 10.
8th right now for Buescher. He's the third Ford in the race, with Priest 5th and Blaney 6th. Chevrolet 1st, 3rd, and 7th. 40 laps to go. Larry, what are the trends?
Well, Mike, I'm sad to say this will be my last race trend of 2025. We don't have trends for the All-Star race, but I went back and looked at the last 6 Kansas races with the Gen 7 car. Average of the last caution, we're all but right there. Lap 230 with 37 laps to go. But 2 out of the last 3 races here at Kansas, including a year ago, we had a caution that sent us into overtime.
Okay.
So the mixed strategy is you want to be in the lead right now. What you telling me?
You better believe it, because I think I got enough fuel to go the distance.
Well, if this race does wind up going green, I think that the interesting piece of the puzzle is knowing Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell all day have fallen off at the end of these runs. So if it does go green, about lap 20 is where it could get really, really interesting to see where those cars are.
So, do you pull the reins on Larson now and have him ease the car so that he has enough left for the finish? Or do you let him run his race the way he wants?
I'm glad you asked that, because I've been watching these lap times. Well, as you say that, he jumped up and was quite a bit faster, but he was matching their lap times. I say there's Bell and Bowman behind him, and I think that's exactly what happens right now. Just keep the distance the same. Try to save me as much tire as you can. You're going to need it at the end.
Let's check with Josh.
Unfortunate early end to the day for Bubba Wallace. Bubba, what happened there from your perspective? What did you see?
Excuse me. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it was a 67 that got into somebody, but I tried to just hang a left and stay in the gas, and we just got clipped in the right rear, unfortunate. But I hate it. You know, it all kind of stemmed from our penalty early on, and we tried so hard to fight back, but just wasn't meant to be. I had a lot of confidence coming into this race. Felt good about it yesterday, but just not our day, not our last couple weeks. But again, it's Mother's Day. Excited to go home, see my wife and our baby boy, and focus on that. Appreciate your time, Bubba.
Yeah, Bubba's team had an equipment interference penalty on the first caution of the day back at lap 8, and had been working their way back toward the front ever since. Larry Mack?
Yeah, I've been watching the 5-car Kyle Larson. We talked about maybe saving those tires just a little bit, maybe even still saving a little bit of fuel. When he gets out of the throttle, he comes completely out, lets it go for just a little bit through the middle of the corner, and then he doesn't just stab the throttle. He eases back into it, where Bale is nailing the throttle, but the bottom line is Larson's still faster.
Got that clean air.
And that was something that you always focused on with this car. Any throttle would really help accelerate that car through the middle of the corner. And I think when Larry's talking about that partial throttle, he's probably able to go back to it a little bit sooner, get a little bit of throttle down, and that really spikes that minimum speed up.
Good battle here. Chase Elliott, Zane Smith, Josh Berry, as they fight for 12th place.
Well, both of those cars have had some trouble on pit road. The 9 and the 21 you see in the screen. Zane Smith, he's had a pretty solid day all day. We talked well about his car yesterday, and that has carried over into the race today.
Well, heartbreaker for Chase Elliott and everybody on the 9 car. Struggles in the pits. I mean, that car was your leader when that happened.
Ooh, and they all converge at the exit of the corner.
That's it, near, not clear. Nope. That was close.
Kyle Larson out front now by a second and a half. This trend, is this disturbing that his lead continues to grow? Does that indicate he's not conserving this car?
I think he's conserving, and it's still growing.
I don't think he's conserving it.
You don't?
I don't know.
Do you think he knows how to conserve?
That's my point. I don't know that he knows how to conserve it because of his style.
Horse run.
And I think that's sometimes when you have a car that you know falls off at the end, you want to get as far out in the front as possible to see if you can manage that gap when you start to fall off. So maybe it falls off no matter what pace he goes, but it doesn't seem to me like there's a very consistent save strategy. And if there is a save strategy, he's still got some room that he can give up.
That's what I was going to say. There's two ways of looking at it.
And again, this lap, he is a 10th faster than Bell and Bowman. Joey Logano and Tyler Reddick have been battling back and forth for 9th place. That's been the best battle on the racetrack for a couple of laps here. Well, let's listen to Cliff Daniels and get his take.
Everything you're doing looks great. You've been a 10th and a half faster than them for about the last 6 or 8 laps. Just stay underneath the tire. Everything you're doing looks really, really good. Keep it up.
And they know that, right? Everything that we're talking about, they've been in meetings, they've went through data. That driver in the car, he's seen all that, and he's keeping that in check. That's Cliff Daniels just reminding him, hey, 10th and a half's enough. Putting gap in between them, just make sure you're taking care of that right rear tire.
And when he's talking about driving underneath the limit of the tire, that just means don't slide it. Don't slide the front, don't slide the back. Just go as fast as it'll go without any of either one of those ends sliding.
Well, I hope he doesn't see this. The last 5 races, the driver has led the most laps. Nobody else has led more than 30 today. Larson's led 191 so far. But in the last 5 races here, the driver leading the most laps has not ended up in victory lane.
192 of the 240 laps.
Yeah, I'd say that's about to change today.
Pretty amazing.
Ryan Preece having a great day. 5th place. Ryan Blaney in 6th. Has closed right up on him, but they are 4.5 seconds behind Kyle Larson. And there's a look at Preece's day.
And that day right now, he's riding right back into the playoff picture,
where he would have been already had it not been for that disqualification. Tyler Reddick and John Hunter Nemechek. Here's Nemechek fighting his way up into the top 10, at least momentarily. And Nemechek's been coming hard over the last 10 or 12 laps or so, leaving nothing on the table.
Nemechek's doing a great job, but I am really surprised in how that 45 car is run today. I know he's running 10th. It's not like it's a horrible day, but it is with the expectations that come with Kansas Speedway and 2311. I mean, these guys are usually lights out here. Bubba had trouble on pit road, but this 45 has definitely not had the speed that we expected for sure. So hard to finish those passes. You see John Hunter on the middle lane right there. We thought he was going to go by Tyler Reddick, but that momentum that this top lane carries makes it so difficult to finish that pass anywhere underneath the top lane.
Well, you can see the distance that he gained right in the middle of the corner. Well, he gained a lot of distance through the center of the corner, carried a lot of speed, and then lost it on the exit and hitting the fence.
Now they're going to have company because Chase Elliott and Josh Berry are closing in on this duo.
Well, those are two of the best cars in the field. We talked earlier about Chase Elliott leading this race earlier on. Josh Berry having plenty of capability in that car has just had one thing or another not work out his way and a penalty on pit road. So two of the fastest cars in the field battling for 12th and 13th.
Berry up to 12th. Nemechek tries it again, drops to the bottom. And those two are catching Joey Logano.
And I think the longer that this goes, and we see Logano right there in the mix, in front of these guys, starting to fade a little bit as this run goes on.
Reddick, big run on the high side there. And he cuts the gap to Logano by about a third. Going to be a slow car on the bottom. That's where Josh Berry wants to run. Yeah, Justin Haley staying out of harm's way, and that threesome closes up.
As you start to look at the lap times, I mean, the last time by, 2.5 tenths there. Larson over Bell.
Eric Jones back in the race. Back in 2011, Jimmy Johnson led 197 laps at Kansas. Kyle Larson has just led 199, make it 200, the most laps any driver has ever led in a race here.
Well, we've seen that happen with Kyle Larson at so many places that we've really, whether it's a short track, the super speedways have probably been his weakness. But, I think when you go to these 1.5 miles and any other racetrack that we go to, at some point we've had this same conversation about Kyle Larson.
20 laps to go in Kansas, so in case you missed it, A.J. Allmendinger blew up early. William Byron blew a tire, all in stage number 1. Now, we didn't get a caution for Byron. We continued on, and Larson won the stage, not only stage 1 but stage 2. Lap 194, Brad Keselowski running second, closing on the leader, lost a tire. Denny Hamlin had earlier lost his clutch, and here grinds up the transmission and is out of the race. Kyle Busch in a 4-wide group of cars, bang, 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 and Busch goes for a wild slide, does a great job of missing the inside wall. But he is now 23rd. Then this multi-car wreck at lap 213 put Bubba Wallace out of the race, and Daniel Suarez. Ty Dillon out, along with Hamlin, Keselowski, and Allmendinger. 21 cars on the lead lap right now, Larry, with 18 to go.
Mike, I know we don't live in a what-if world, but I promise you all those crew chiefs on pit road are thinking, what if the caution comes out? Because right now we've got 30-plus laps on these tires, 18 laps to go. I think we've crossed the threshold of anybody staying out if we get that caution, but I think the debate will be 2 tires or 4 tires. Go back to this race a year ago. It was cool. It was at night. 50 laps on their tires. The caution came out that sent us in overtime. The top 3 did 2 right side tires only. I think that's going to be a tough decision if we get this late race caution.
So, Larry, you don't see it often in the Cup Series, but all of the difficulties this weekend have been with rear tires. Is there any chance you'd come in like the modified guys do and just change rears?
I never say never. You've taught me that in 25 years, but we haven't seen that since Martinsville about 30 years ago when Harry Hyde did it.
That's right. Well, who knows? I don't know. What do you think, fellas? Would you want 2 or would you want 4? You got 21 cars on the lead lap, so that's 10 rows of cars on the restart. You're going to fan out 4 wide. I don't.
Well, before you go there, if I'm Larson, I don't want a caution of anybody else. I want a caution and opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing is on the restarts when you have those 2 tires. And like Larry said today, I mean, it's warmer. We have a lot of laps on those left side tires. So how does it fire off? That's really the big thing that the 4 new tires do. But I always wanted 4.
This is a day of what could have been for this 21 Wood Brothers car. Those guys started last, drove up through the field more than once. Very impressed with this car. It's been that way all season long, Kevin.
Yep.
It really has, and Josh Berry has done a great job with his team, and they've had plenty of speed in these cars. Now they just gotta close all these deals out. Saw him last week leading the race, got over that bump in turn 3 and 4, spun out. So those mistakes are going to happen. You're going to learn. You're going to mature. You're going to start to really understand what you need to be doing. But the biggest thing that they have is speed, and that is the part that is always the hardest to find.
Eric Jones returns to the garage and out of the race. Did not get that car up to minimum speed after making repair, so the AdventHealth car is parked for the day. 13 laps to go. For Kyle Larson, this is the third of 11 straight days he'll be in a race car. Between the Cup car, the Indy car, and the high limit sprint car. He is racing all around the country over the next 11 days.
That's just a normal week. That's just what Larson does. He goes and races anything that he can get in.
Kokomo, Indiana, and the sprint car tomorrow night, and then it's off to Indy.
Well, here's Friday night right down the road at Lakeside. Maybe.
Started pole there, didn't he?
Well, he finishes with one on his roof.
Well,
watch this. Rico Abreu to the inside of Kerry Madsen. They get together. That's Larson's brother-in-law, sweet flipping. Larson slid into Madsen. Heavy wing damage. Right. Boo. No, that was sweet. There's Larson.
Yep.
Good old racetrack right there, Kevin.
Yeah.
A lot of good memories at that place.
I had a friend who called me and said, go drive my car, and I looked like a complete fool. A complete fool over there one night, but I won't mention any names, but he's standing pretty close to me.
And here's Larson's schedule for the next couple of weeks, culminating with the Indy 500 and Coca-Cola 600, both on May 25th, the Memorial Day weekend double.
Big month for him, big opportunity. Didn't go down the way he wanted it to go last year. Gets another chance at it. Don't count that kid out.
Last year here, Chris Buescher was racing for the win with Kyle Larson. 1/1000th of a second separated them at the line. Here they are with 10 laps to go. Buescher racing Josh Berry for 7th place. Bowman and Blaney, this is for 3rd.
That Blaney car has been putting out some pretty good lap times over the last several laps. So in typical fashion of Ryan Blaney and this 12 team, long deep run right here, putting out some good lap times.
Last lap he was the fastest car on the racetrack, Blaney that is.
See Alex Bowman fighting hard for that last spot.
It's going to slow his progress down a lot. You were right, Kevin. It was 2 to 3 tenths. He was catching everybody in this whole front of the field. May have had a chance to catch 2nd place Bell. Not with Bowman giving him fits on his outside, slowing him down a lot.
Well, if they stay double file, they're going to bring Chase Briscoe right to them.
That slowed them down 4 tenths for him, 3 tenths for the pair of them.
Yeah, you see Blaney drive it in there. That time going to slide up into that top lane. Bowman tried to cross over to be able to get back into the throttle, but Ryan Blaney makes that pass.
All right, Kyle Larson's going to start to get into some lap traffic here. And they are single file and they're spread out pretty well. Jesse Love, the first one to go another lap down to the race leader. So traffic shouldn't put up much of a problem for him.
Well, this is definitely a 3-car battle that I've been keeping my eye on, just looking, hey, if there's going to be a caution, how's it going to happen? And these guys have been at it pretty hard for the last 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, it looks like Hosvar that just went off the screen right there. I don't know. He might have had some trouble right there, backing up in a hurry. I don't know if he had to check up. But he lost a lot of ground right there.
With 6 to go. How about Corey Heim? His first scheduled race with 23:11.
I really like this kid. I think with everything that he has done in the truck and all the chances that he's had, which have been, I think this is his 4th Cup start. He's made something out of those days, and he's raced today a lot like he does in that truck, just a grinder and keeps going forward.
Just exactly what you need a driver like that to do. Go out, run all the laps, learn everything you can do against the best there is, and Ford Progression proves that. Started 24th up to 13th. Great job.
And we don't see many of these young kids come into the Cup Series races and have days where they're going to run inside the top 15. That hasn't happened much.
Alex Bowman's been in the wall. Chase Briscoe goes by, and Bowman drops to 5th.
Front end took off on him, didn't it, Kevin?
Yep.
And the wall is where Carson Hocevar is right now. Brushed up against it. Hocevar back in 21st. Got up and into it right there.
I think the right front tire's coming apart on that car.
Looks like it.
Yeah, look at
yes.
It ain't over. Keep an eye on this car. It's definitely coming apart.
And the last thing they want to see is that tire come apart and have to throw a debris caution.
They're telling him to get down off the racetrack. That's a Chevrolet with Hendrick support. He's in the wall, guys. He's going to get it down. No caution so far.
Larson comes across the line with 3 to go.
Coming to the pits.
And Hocevar makes it to the pits. No apparent debris out on the racetrack.
Whew. Dodged a bullet there if you're the 5 team. 3 to go.
So Hocevar's hopes of a lead lap finish are dashed. 20 lead lap cars with 2.5 to go. And Larson, very little traffic.
It's smooth sailing for him. There's nobody fighting him behind him, but the question is, tail end of these runs, we've seen a lot of people slipping, sliding around, getting into the wall with Hocevar, tire troubles. Bring this thing around, get me to the white flag, get this thing official. Been a dominant day for him, guys.
He really has.
He is in position to maximize points for the day. First stage win, second stage win, the point for the fastest lap of the race, and the victory 1.5 laps away.
It's in the air. It's going to be official right here.
White flag, 1 to go.
And that's all Kyle Larson was looking for. He just wanted to get to that white flag to capitalize on a day that has just been absolutely
See him
dominant.
pull way down off the racetrack. Get away from that wall. Just limp this thing around. A lot of rubber coming off the front of that car.
A 1.1 second lead on Christopher Bell and a couple of lap cars.
He's got
Bell
trouble
clears
in
the
his
lap
right
cars.
front. He's way slow on the track. It's just like Hocevar. You see the rubber coming off that right front?
Here he comes off turn 4. He's going to make it to the line. And Kyle Larson beats Christopher Bell.
Great execution all day. All day. Pit road, restarts, all that. Good job,
I don't
guys.
know if he was managing that or not, but when he came off of turn 2, there was a lot of rubber coming off the right front.
3/4 of a second is the official margin of victory as Kyle Larson's lead evaporated in the last lap.
All at once.
32nd career win, tying Dale Jarrett for 29th on NASCAR's all-time list. The Hendrick teams wearing the white uniforms, indicating for them it's a home game, as Rick Hendrick has dealerships in the metro Kansas City area. Larson last won 2 races ago at Bristol. It's his 3rd victory of the season, tying Christopher Bell for the most of all drivers. Bell got so close. Three victories ties Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and Joey Logano for 2nd all-time at Kansas to Denny Hamlin, who has 4.
Well, he's got a lot of opportunities ahead of him to get some more. So these guys they've just done a great job. And when you look at Cliff Daniels, well, let's start at the top. When you look at Rick Hendrick and you look at everything that he's got structured between himself and Cliff Daniels,
Jeff Gordon,
they have a great leadership group that just puts these guys in a position to go out there and get all the details out of their car. You have a pairing with Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson that is hard to beat in the way that they communicate and the things that they talk about, and Cliff's just a great leader.
Well, when you put this car on the pole in the dominant fashion that we know and have seen out of this race car, as a competitor, you know you're in big trouble. That car was extremely fast, an absolute dominant day.
Kansas check. Indianapolis, right out the windshield. And Charlotte, in racing's biggest weekend, Kyle Larson is set to try to win them all. Fourth win of the season for Hendrick Motorsports and their 10th at Kansas. Chase Elliott had a chance. A bad pit stop took him from contention. Christopher Bell closing in at the finish. But there is your Kansas winner, Regan Smith.
Well, Kyle Larson, in what was an absolutely dominant performance, Kyle. He had control of the race for the majority of it. Did lose control briefly for a moment there towards the end after the final pit stop, and then a long run at the end. How much were you managing the tires and managing the race at the end there?
Yeah, I was trying really hard to pace myself because I believe that was our longest run of the day, and I had been struggling a little bit at the end of the runs. You know, Chase was really good, and so I felt like I just needed to try to be better, on my end, and I don't know if it was paying off or not at the end. I was still struggling. I don't know if the right front was starting to wear a lot or what, but I was starting to lose a lot of grip, and then I was vibrating really bad, so I was afraid of right rear or something would let go. So, but yeah, great car, great execution today too for our team. Thanks to HendrickCars.com, Valvoline, Prime, all you race fans too for coming out. This is awesome weather to get to watch a cool race. So. Glad to not win by an inch right here this time, and a little bit safer gap. But thanks again to the team. Congrats to all Hendrick Motorsports, the engine shop, everybody there.
You start what is the middle, or you're in the middle of what is a very busy month of May for you right now. To start to have this momentum and carry it the rest of the way through, how does that help?
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to help a little bit, but it's so different at Indy, and the cars are different. But yeah, I look forward to getting there. We're going to fly there tonight. Celebrate with Caitlin. Happy Mother's Day, Caitlin. All the moms out there, my mom especially. So, yeah, it's a cool win here in Kansas, and now we'll try to execute 2 good weeks there at Indy.
Kyle Larson, your winner at Kansas on Mother's Day.
And Christopher Bell finishes second, his best effort ever at Kansas. Those closing laps, we just heard Kyle say he was struggling. Do you feel like if you had a couple more laps, you may have had something for him?
Well, I was surprised that he kind of gave up on the top those last couple laps and pulled down, but I was struggling just as bad as he was, so I was just trying to get to the end. I know Ryan was coming on really strong there, so overall, to get home second with a lot of stage points was something that we needed after the last couple weeks, and this Reese's Camry was just not quite what we needed. I don't know. I feel like our day was kind of a product of qualifying well, having good pit stops, having good restarts, and nothing really took us out of it. So, I don't know. Whenever the long green flag runs came, it seemed like we were going backwards, and there were a couple guys that could drive by us. So, yeah, to walk out of here second, I'm really happy with, and hopefully we can be a little bit stronger when we come back.
Well done. That's Christopher Bell, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Let's take a look back at the final restart, because that's where this race was won.
Well, we saw Kyle Larson, and his strategy was to go late in the box. You see that gap between the 5 and the 48, and what he does is just kind of wait for the 48 to hit the bumper. You see him try to time it, but it shoots the 5 out. He did that like the last 3 restarts, and it really broke everything up because the outside line would have to wait, and it would shoot him out to clear the outside car.
That's teamwork at its finest right there. Boom. Thank you very much.
Yes.
See ya.
There you see him coming to the line after, it sounds like hanging on for the last couple laps, just trying to make sure that the tires don't blow out.
Well, much like Bell, I saw the same thing. I saw him pull off the outside wall, and I was thinking, well, maybe he's just doing that to be safe. But then he went clear to the bottom and really slowed down. About got interesting.
Well, this rivalry, it's building. This is the 4th time, Chris, that Larson and Bell have finished 1-2. Larson with 3 of those 4 victories. Let's join.
Mike, yeah, I think we had a little bit of an audio issue. Sorry about that. Mike, it's interesting that between Larson and Bell, they have won half of the 12 races that we have run so far in victory lane with Jamie McMurray. And here comes the car and the driver Kyle Larson, we just heard from him moments ago, over 220 laps led, and widely viewed as the most talented driver, has that 2021 Cup championship, and on a roll coming in, and he had led laps before, Jamie, we talked about it, but it seems like he's getting better at finishing races, handling situations, regardless of the track or the competition.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of Larson's credit of his ability in a car isn't just because of what he can do in NASCAR. It's what he does in sprint cars. It's what he did, in the Indy 500 last year. Going back, we've just talked about that, doing it again here in just a few weeks. I mean, it just seems like whatever kind of car Kyle gets in, he does really well. But he managed the race, did a tremendous job today. It didn't appear that he had the best car on the long run. The cautions worked in their favor a little bit. They got a little bit lucky at the end of stage 2 to make it to the end on those tires. I thought that Denny Hamlin maybe had the best car, had some issues, with the transaxle, wasn't able to finish. But Larson, I mean, what do you say? It's been a pretty exceptional year for him again.
Yeah, already in a clean race for him and his pit crew. We anticipated, like last year and even on the front row, a kind of a Larson-Buescher battle, and it ended up being, as we saw at the end, it wasn't much of a battle. It was really from the closest finish ever in NASCAR to a wide blow-away victory, wide open victory for Kyle Larson. We're going to hear more from Victory Lane in a moment. Let's check in with Josh Sims.
Well, Chris, Ryan Blaney comes home third, ties a career best finish here for Kansas, but how would you evaluate your day?
Yeah, overall good day. I think we were third in both stages and finished third, and honestly, we're kind of running those guys down quick there at the end, the last handful of laps, and I just kind of restarted too far back and had to make up a lot of ground. It took a while for my car to come in. I think 5 more laps, I probably would have scared the 5 a little bit, at least, but no, really proud of the 12 boys today. Appreciate the Worth group being on board, Ford, Menards, Body Armor, Dex Imaging, everybody. Really good last couple weeks, bringing fast race cars. Hopefully we can continue to do that, keep learning, and move forward. But overall, a really good weekend.
Strong day for Ryan Blaney and this 12 team.
Thank you very much. And moments ago, you saw the confetti flying, and we mentioned clean race, while other people may have had some tire problems, Jamie, or some issues with their cars or pit crews. The guys up there supporting the HendrickCars.com 5-car and Kyle Larson in victory.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Keselowski would be the one that pops out. Needed to have a good run. Looked like he maybe had a car that could compete with Kyle Larson. Had the right rear tire issue, ended his day. And I mean, tires were the story in practice and qualifying yesterday. We saw a lot of tire issues. It seemed like as the race went on, the crew chiefs maybe got a little more aggressive, and we saw some of that more at the end. But overall, I mean, it was interesting to see the strategy play out and how aggressive the crew chiefs got with that.
Yeah, the late cautions and the restarts. He had to hold off Logano at one point and Bell and some others on those restarts. 32-year-old Kyle Larson, his 32nd career win. Let's check in now with Regan Smith. Regan?
Well, Chris, Chase Briscoe matches his best finish of the season with your fourth place run this year so far. This one, though, a little more eventful. Had to start 35th, work your way through the pack. Seemed like it was a solid day for you.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely had a good finish. Our car was really good. We kind of went through different parts of the race where we were really good, then we're just okay. And at the end, obviously, when it mattered, we were really good. So, yeah, it's been a fun weekend in Kansas. We came out early and went to Missouri, actually, to Johnny Morris's personal place there, and we were ripping lips there, then came here and ripped the lip on the wall. So it was definitely a fun week for us and the race team. And just want to say shout out to all the moms out there. Certainly my wife, Marissa, incredible mother of 3, my mom and Jamie as well. So, yeah, fun weekend, and looking forward to hopefully just building on this.
All right, nice job today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just kind of adjusting here in Victory Lane, and you can see that Kyle Larson is finishing up with MRN Radio, Jamie McMurray, and it was great. As soon as you get out of the car, you express your thoughts, and I think the last time we talked to you, you had the samurai sword or whatever you were saying.
He did have a sword last time.
You were having a lot of fun, so just some more reflective thoughts on, you brought it up, led the most laps before in races as recently as Texas, but at the end, things didn't play out. So what was different about this in terms of just what you could control?
Yeah, just, I don't know. I had some good pushes behind me today, and I think, learned some last week, obviously getting beat on the restarts, and then you learned some there in the beginning, too, with the initial start, and that kind of carried on for the end of the race. So, yeah, just great to qualify good. It's really important, and then to kind of maintain the lead for the majority of the race was huge. So just a great points day, and happy to be celebrating here at Kansas again.
Was there any concern, Kyle? Like at the end of stage 2, it seemed like your rear tires went away, pace slowed off a little bit, Bell ran you down. Were you concerned if we had a long run at the end of this that might catch you off guard?
Yeah, absolutely. I was happy for a lot of those cautions because it just shortened the runs up for us. I was just not necessarily like dying at the end of the run, but like those guys were just better grip, and I was trying to manage my tires, but I think just when you spin the whole length of the run out in clean air, it just abuses your right rear tire even without you trying. So and then so we had that long run at the end. I was nervous of that.
What do you do to manage the tires? Like we talked about the line you run on the track. What were you doing to try to conserve a little bit?
Yeah, all of it. You're trying to learn. Like in the first couple of stages, when I was struggling at the end of the runs, I'm like, okay, well, what did I do? Maybe in the middle of the run to affect my tires. So I just try to be a little bit different. That last run a smooth line, and also be gentle with the car and gentle with the tires. And I don't know if it helped or not because they were still coming at the end, but it was good enough.
I know moments ago you were asked about Indy, and you got the schedule all set, trying to do the double, and we'll see you on Fox at the Indy 500. How much of a better driver at Indy will we see from you already? Have you assessed yourself of how you think you'll be, where you've improved the most?
I'm not sure. I think, honestly, I felt really good about things last year. I felt very prepared for the race and all that, and my car was in a really good spot, really balanced, and we had a smooth couple weeks. We just had a mistake there and sped on pit road during the race, and without that, we would have ran really well. So I don't approach it really any differently. There's obviously things that I learned last year, but I think most importantly, like any race, your car balance has to be there to give you the confidence, give you the aggression, and all of that. So I felt a little bit off at the open test as well as our teammates did. So hopefully we've gotten the balance a little bit better over these couple weeks off, and we can fire off on Tuesday really good.
We're already praying to the weather gods for you for the entire Indy weekend, that we get to have better weather than last time.
And qualifying next weekend, that you said starting position here, right? So you
I mean, we need good weather both weekends.
Right.
One to qualify for the race, and then one to just get to run 1,100 miles. That'd be a
cool.
Dream come true. So. Yeah, it was fun last year, but I didn't get to do all of it.
All right, well, we'll stay tuned. And by the way, today, again, 10,000 career laps led, another milestone, and racking up the stage wins and another victory. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate that. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
I look forward to covering Kyle Larson in practice for the Indy 500. Starting on Tuesday, we'll be on the air for 6 hours. But his teammate, Alex Bowman, thank you for being patient and waiting out here with us. But you finished 5th. You started mid-pack. That doesn't tell the story of your day. How much did you have to manage today? You had a lot of vibrations. They were adjusting on every stop.
Yeah, we were really good to start, obviously. We were really fast with our Ally 48 Chevy, and just hats off to everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. You don't get cars that are that fast very often. I said that last week, and we got another one this week. So super pleased with my race car. Crashed it on the restart to stage 2. And it did everything worse the whole rest of the day, and we still ran top 5. So hats off to Blake and all the guys. I would have loved to see what we could have done with the clean race car, but unfortunately, we'll never know. So, just move on to the next one. But, a solid day to overcome that much damage. I got super tight after that through the center. Then I would get really loose in and off. So just kind of fought the race car from there. But, heck of a race car before that.
Well, the next one is all about fun and money. It's the All-Star Race. We'll see you at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, I need some of that, so thanks.
All right, let's go back to Chris Myers. Do you need some money, Chris Myers?
We can always use a little cash. Well, you and I are going to be in Indianapolis, so bring some cash with you. Thanks for being with us today. A successful day for Kyle Larson. We'll watch for him Indy qualifying next weekend. The Indy 500, May 25th. Next Sunday on FS1, the open race, the All-Star Race from North Wilkesboro. We hope you tune in then. This race, directed by Darren Foster, Associate Director Rich Gross. Thanks for watching, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms.
Let's get you a trophy to go with.
way up and never look down. If the road wasn't rough, we might not have found the blood and some guts and thousands of hours. We welcome you now to our arena. If you don't know right now, it's hard to beat us. You can tell by our demeanor how hard we leaning. You will remember when you see it in lights. We are the champions. We are the champions. We will fight through the pain. We'll be legends tonight. We are the champions. We are the champions.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.